Well, welcome to the show before the show, where I check to make sure everything is working. I'm your host, Patrick Marlett, and let me start by making sure everything is up on the screen that we'll be working with today. But how are you all? Let me know in the live chat down below. It's good to see you guys. Marath, my favorite commander. Awesome. Good to know. Marath is up there for me, too. Of all the Nyans, easily my favorite. At least the most unique. An outlet on top of just a cool utility, right? I love Marath. But what's funny is that if you look at the list, that should be in the description for you, I was requested by one of our brewmasters to update, essentially, a year-old list. And there were two Marath lists I made. One that initially used Zerta before they changed how the companion worked in Commander, and then another after the fact, if I'm not mistaken. That was how I ordered it. And I really loved Marath with Zerta, and Zerta is still something I would really love to work with as a companion. You know, it's almost like casting a tutor to do set effect or put various card in your hand that offers set effect. In Zerta's instance, it's a cost reduction. It's kind of a shame that utility is kind of hampered, but again, it's not too unlike casting Demonic Tutor, and if that card's important to you, then, you know, you just suffer that. Again, it's not so bad. It's not as bad as it sounds. Is it 2 or 3 CMC? I think it's 2 CMC, right? It's either Demonic Tutor or a Grim Tutor. I forgot. It's been a while since I've worked with a companion. Let me know. Correct me. But the thing I want to lead with, I had it in my mind. It escaped me. I had fun in Texas. One. That's it. Because I was in Texas, there was a Tuesday we missed, sadly. I kind of made up for it by doing a string of YouTube shorts, and I'm probably going to switch to doing 2 to 3 YouTube shorts a week. Oddly enough, if you're a YouTuber, I will state that most of my audiences come from YouTube shorts. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to see if that traffic sort of teeters off as more people jump on shorts, but as it stands, it's a great way to get new people on the show, and I enjoy doing them. So expect to see more. But that was a real easy layout for me so far as the last week's YouTube shorts are concerned. So I'm probably going to do something like that moving forward this week. I want to give myself a break because I did just come back from vacation and I'm playing catch up with a lot of things. And I wound up doing something I probably shouldn't have focused time on today, which I can show you in a second. It was really fun. But there's going to be another live stream this week outside of our bi-weekly Brew Wars Live. So if you wanted to see the cold brew from last week, it's going to be appearing this Friday. I believe that was what was voted on by our community members here on YouTube. We're going to do our Gissa cold brew this Friday. Yes, the newest Gissa from Innistrad Midnight Hunt. I'm really excited for it. She looks awesome. I mean, the card looks amazing. Some of my favorite art in recent date, coupled with the fact that I love brewing for mono black, despite my... Well, I've said it outright many times on the channel, but mono black is easily the weakest of the colors. Yes, it has a lot of good support cards, but by itself, it's very difficult to remove certain threats because it just lacks a removal suite to handle a lot of threats that you see in cEDH. So I find it to be one of the weaker colors and one that really lags behind. And yes, I've seen the Crix and I've seen the, long time ago, Sidisi Storm list. They're all fine, but they do struggle when there is a stacks piece that they just can't hit. And you have to use quirky cards like Phyrexian, what was that? Gate to Phyrexia. I had that for a hot minute. I was running Gate to Phyrexia to remove artifacts. God. And then Ratchet Bomb, obviously, Powder Keg. Weird shit to handle problems that other colors just have, you know, access to removal for. But yeah, I love brewing for mono black, despite my dislike of playing mono black these days. And I'm excited for Gissa because it's a strategy that just wants to kill things, which is pretty crazy in her character. So I'm extremely excited to build for the Necromancer. At any rate, the glorious hair is talking. Oh God, Aljaz. I didn't bring any of my hair product to Texas because guidelines so far as what you can bring on planes, and I don't keep little travel bottles because I don't travel that often. But, man, my hair. You always catch me at my most moist. I swear. You guys always catch me at my most moist. I got carried away. I was working on this thing for 2 hours. I was working on this thing for 2 hours. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about in a second. But my hair was a horrible mess when I got back, to the point where it was so knotted and just bad because I wasn't able to tend to it. It was mostly up the whole time. Up in Texas to see family, nephews, obviously spend time with my girlfriend there. But it was so bad when I got back. I was really, really contemplating cutting it. And I might still. We'll see. Maybe donate it. Maybe make a wig out of it so you guys can still see me in long hair. Who knows? But I definitely don't want to deal with the mess my hair was in earlier. I have very thick, coarse hair. It doesn't look like it now, but man, I had to comb that thing for like 20 minutes. It was absurd. At any rate. Hey, Patrick, I forgot to ask which Switch games you picked up for your trip. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I looked at the... I looked over all of them. I really wanted to buy a Switch game, but what I wound up doing is because we have it's not my brother-in-law, but Gerrard, Allie's brother, has a Switch there. I wound up just bringing my Game Boy instead. I knew we were going to spend a lot of money on this trip, and I'm like, well, we're probably going to watch something on the plane, and if I do have free time, which I really didn't, I would just play my Game Boy. So I brought my Game Boy with the GBA Castlevania double pack. It came with Castlevania Aria of Sorrow or Harmony of Dissonance, I forget which one, along with one of the original remakes of another Castlevania classic. I love Castlevania. I also brought Drill Dozer, which, if you've never played, is a phenomenal platformer by Game Freak. This is before they almost solely work on, I think they only work on Pokemon games now. But Drill Dozer is a really phenomenal game. It's an older, quirky cartridge, brown cartridge that has a built-in gyrometer, if I'm not mistaken. So it causes it to rumble when plugged into your device. You can turn that off, but it's so fun. The rumble is loud, so it actually adds to the game. And then I brought one more game, and I forgot what it was. I didn't touch that one. I just didn't have time for it. It was Gears of War. That makes no sense. Advanced Wars. I like turn-based strategy games. Love them. So brought those three, but that's all I brought. Sadly, I almost bought a Switch game, but I didn't. And I wound up playing a little bit of Switch at their place. I say nephews. I've known Allie's family for going on 10 years now. So, but I was playing games with their nephew. I was playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu. It's pretty much the same system. It's just catching Pokemon's easier. I kind of like how you can just see them in the wild, but I was just playing this with Jared's kid because it's fun. It's a fun game, and that's what the baby boy wanted to do. That's what Benny wanted to do, so we wound up doing that. Super, super fun time, though. Hey, sexy boy. Hey, Chad. Hey, Dan Goose. Hey, Pat. I'm all right. Excited for Gerrard. I've been excited for this. Yeah, I think I've got... Let me make sure I've got your... Okay, cool. Yeah, Gerrard is going to be interesting. For sure. I don't know how much I can really improve upon what you've done here, but I'm excited to try. And, of course, we can talk about what you sent me in regards to what you'd like to see for Gerrard as well. Love the shorts. Me too. The power of draw. Yeah, the power of draw. I'm not gonna lie, I'm more of a Davil player. I'm more interested in draw than I am random luck. Like, I don't like chance in games. I hate that. So anything to mitigate that issue, I will definitely leverage. None of these commanders have draw, sadly. They're just utilities. But their color, Naya really hurts on draw because you'd think green would have more draw, and people always say, green's got draw. I'm like, yeah, what draw? What draw cards are you using? Harmonize? Is that what you're using? Compost? I rarely even use that. Someone was talking about Viridian something in the Discord. Nettlesome? We don't use that. We never use that, right? And then there's only Sylvan Library that comes to mind. So, like, what draw? And then obviously red has some rummage effect. They're getting way more impulse drawing, right? It's not technically the keyword draw, but they're getting impulse drawing. And white's got, well, white. Shaving your head is always an option. I'm not sure I'm going to shave it. Make a hair helmet like Flight of the Conchords. Yeah, I guess I could. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to probably play with it a little bit. I might cut it shorter and see if I can stylize it such that it's short enough that it doesn't tangle as easily. But yeah, my hair is a mess. Trent says, have you played Final Fantasy Tactics? Yes. Yeah, all of them. All right, so so the one on PlayStation, Final Fantasy Tactics Advance, which I really loved, and then Final Fantasy A2, which I think was on the DS, if I'm not mistaken. I don't have that. I don't have a DS anymore. I did for a hot minute, like the early one with the backwards compatibility slot. I just have a SP now and a Game Boy Micro. My Micro's kind of messed up. I don't know. It started acting funny recently. But yes, I have. If you like turn-based games, it's pretty damn good. Yeah, it's one of the best. It's pretty damn good. And you get Cloud. What? I wish the limit breaks were better. It doesn't matter. You get to play Cloud, so you're gonna play Cloud, right? Or I did at least. I've updated the list. I don't know if it was in the original. I've played the remake as well as the original. I forget if Cloud was like in the revised version or he was in the original, like he was an updated character or something. I honestly forget. But I've also played Tactics Ogre, which if you've never played Tactics Ogre is one I can recommend. The one on Game Boy Advance is Night of Lodi. Recommend that. It's fantastic. I love turn-based strategy games. It harkens back to my love of hero clicks, right? Grid-based strategy, turns, actions per turn, X amount of actions, and then thwart your enemy using terrain / your knowledge of the game's mechanics. Very, very fun, though. I've updated the list a little myself, but only a couple cards. When you get into it, I'll share what I change that I can remember. Well, Connor, in case you guys are wondering, this is Connor's list will be revising today. He's one of our brewmasters, and I'll just defer to you before we start. Yours is the first list that we're going to tackle today, so obviously I'd love to hear what you changed, your mindset on the cards, so you can sort of prep that now if you want, not to task you with doing anything beyond watching this for pure entertainment. But yeah, let me know, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts, so I won't remove them. I think game is secretly powerful just because Flash over Gerrard. Garnet, sorry. Huh, maybe, yeah, and, well, she only works with creatures, right? Garna, creatures that hit the battlefield this turn, where Gerrard is creatures and artifacts, so you can do some crazy stuff with eggs. Colossal Majesty. Greater Good is good card draw in green, but it's more loot. Greater Good is very... It depends on what you're doing. Like, obviously in Savala, Greater Good's an outlet, but like, what other average green list cares about Greater Good? Like, I'm not going to put Greater Good in a list if my average power was 3, because then I'm literally just rummaging. And in Naya, you have rummage, so why don't you just focus that instead of doing this thing where you chomp a creature, right? If you don't know what Greater Good is, you sacrifice a creature, you draw cards equal to its power, then you discard 3. That's not how it reads precisely. But there's no sense in using that unless you're using a deck that's got dedicated power on board, right? Doesn't make sense to me. But, I mean, you could. How about that? Trent says he was in War of Lions, if that's what you're referring to. Yeah, War of Lions. Wait. Is this like the revised version? The War of Lions. There's an updated version of Final Fantasy Tactics. I think he was on the PlayStation version too, bro. I could be, maybe I'm crazy. I don't remember. I've played this on my PSP, but I remember him being on my TV. It's been years since I played this game. So maybe I'm just confused on this, but could be wrong. Final Fantasy 9 for me is the best. I thought the character models were goofy, but I'm going to agree. It's one of the better ones for sure. Advance Wars was dope. It is dope. I have 1 and 2 on my Game Boy Advance. I've yet to finish. I've started and stopped them multiple times. I've yet to finish one. I added in Oswald, Thrilling Discovery. I'll hold this. I'll hold this until we're done. Well, we'll start in a second, actually. It's about that time. Jen's Kid says, "Hey, Pat, the last Brew Wars was awesome. Drunk MTG is truly hard. Truly is hard, rather. Yeah, it is. Well, I didn't think I was gonna get dogged that much. Damn, like, I never in my day, not to spoil it, this wasn't a Brew Wars technically, this was Happy Hour, if that's what you're referring to. I would never think a Gilded Drake would ever take a lesser Master Core to save an opposition agent. I never thought that day would come. But it did. It's odd being the biggest threat at a table and mono white. Otherwise, I don't think it would have come my way. It was so bad. This is one of the reasons I'm adding a lot more creature removal, because white has it in spades. Is that the saying? But I don't want to deal with shit anymore. Creature-based shit anymore. I just want to kill everything and then scrap troll, start fresh, because shit like that, oh my god, too much. Too much. I'm adding in a lot more creature removal. Oh, lastly, before we start, why I'm so moist, why I'm the moistest today, and why I'm behind on a few projects today, is because I ordered this when I was in Texas. This is a Ingenue, Pierre Ingenue, a vintage retro focus lens from, I want to say, the mid-60s, and I bought it sight unseen. They normally go for like $700. I've seen people try to sell them for $1,500. This particular model, they're gonna sell that much. But I wound up winning an auction for this for $400. And mind you, I've been buying. I've shared some stuff on Discord, but I've been buying and like trying to refurbish old lenses. And there's a few that I've just had to scrap or use for parts because, well, I'm learning from no knowledge, and there's no knowledge on the internet how to disassemble this / repair it without actually speaking to a professional. So this morning, I'm like, well, I just want to see how to remove these things, right? Like how to get inside the elements of this lens. And I wound up taking it apart, and, well, I found out how to get to the helicoid in here that turns the focus ring. And then I just fell down a rabbit hole of like, well, I got it open, I might as well just work on it now. And initially I was like, well, maybe I should just return this thing. This looks like it's going to be more work than I expected, because it's sort of an over-engineered piece of tech here. Like, this is kind of revolutionary, having an aperture ring as a separate dial on a lens. That's, I think, the first time it's ever been done, and maybe the only time, by this company. But yeah, I took it apart. I did it. I fixed it. I completely fixed it. I took off the front lens elements, cleaned up a little bit of hazing. I took out that's cool, is it was actually the easiest lens I've had to work on, apart from like reassembling it. That was kind of a bitch. The issue with older lenses is that a lot of them require specified tools to fix, and I'm over here with like flathead screwdrivers, pliers, and like calipers that I've made out of like a measuring device, prying open these lenses and trying to fix them. So yeah, so $400 project is not what I'd recommend, but oh my god, it works, and I'm excited to shoot it. But yeah, it's one of my other hobbies right now. I was just so stoked to have done that I was late to work out and then late to shower, and now I'm moist. So enjoy my moistness. But that's why I fucking love that lens. It was a 28mm 3.5 aperture retro focus. I think it's called the R11 or R11. I don't know what that naming distinction means, but it looks really good, and the images I've seen come off of other people's cameras look really good, so I cannot wait to shoot it. Anyways, if anyone enjoys photography, I hope someone enjoys that little spiel. It's been fun. I do not recommend opening up old lenses that are expensive without prying open a few cheap ones first. So that's what I did. And I say cheap, it's like $50 for like the average old 4 parts lens. Oh my god, too much money. Anyways, your gameplay content is up there with the best on YouTube. EDH, MTG, Rocky. You're damn straight. No, thank you. I appreciate that. I get a lot of complaints here and there, and I see them, I hear them, and I understand them. And a lot of it's to do with budget, because I'm buying stupid shit like that for myself, but also because it's really tough. Like, in an ideal world, there's so many things I would change with the gameplay sessions, but I'm so glad you like them, and that I will state they're only going to improve. Fortunately, I should be able to buy some more equipment to up the production quality here for when I can organize shoots. And unofficially, I'm gonna try to hold like a tryout locally. You can take this and run with it. I don't know when or how, but I want to play with some locals here that play cEDH and obviously get more players on board to do Brew Wars, because availability has been a real bitch recently. So I would like to find more people that are willing to game on camera and are interested in playing on camera. So that's really tricky. Like, I don't have any Brew Wars recorded for next month, and well, that's problematic because it's something I'm trying to do. It's a self-mandated thing, but I'm trying to do them once per month, or at least once a month Brew Wars, once a month happy hour, and that's not lined up right now, so we'll see. But yeah, if you're in the New York City area, I don't know. I'm gonna probably organize it on Discord, see if anyone wants to get together in game, play locally a few times, and then go from there. Anyway, Jen's kid, yeah, happy hour. That's it. Yeah, you know, it's a little bit of it's just top-down gameplay, which I genuinely it was not that much. It was very time-consuming to edit still, I have to say. It was still a very time-consuming effort. Glad you mixed up the format, top-down, uninterrupted. Love the normal edit of Brew Wars, but happy hour is a good change of pace to add in once in a while. Yeah, it's funny. Like, that game was longer than the first one, obviously, but it recorded longer too. Like, we were well over 2 hours for that one. It's I don't try to designate pod balance or like try to get the pods balanced. I just want people to play what they want, and obviously if there's something new, play the new thing. But that time, too much stacks and not enough people willing to do anything about it. So they did really drag. And that was a complaint I heard, and it's like, well, that's just how the game works out sometimes. If you watch them, that's just how the game works out sometimes. But it's really tough when you're editing through all of that and you know the outcome. You're like, oh god, when do I die? When does everyone die? All right. I love the normal edited Brew Wars as well, though. A lot more chill than MTG YouTubers I watch. Andre. Yeah, thank you. Moist Pat. I love Hardened Scales Mana Echoes combo with Marath. Ooh, okay. Mana Echoes. Is this like okay, yeah, I get it. I don't know if we use Mana Echoes here, but we're going to see in a second. All you need, a set of eyeglass screwdrivers, a rubber mallet, and a bottle of scotch to fix a camera lens, Bobby Z. Yeah, you know what's funny? I've successfully repaired 4 lenses. The easiest ones to have worked on, were Carl Zeiss lenses. So if you're buying vintage lenses, vintage glass, whether it be for Exacta, which you just saw, or any other camera system, you'd think the automatic diaphragm button, the shutter release, would be a more difficult or more complicated component. All these old cameras are just using ratcheting systems, levies, springs, and basic gear trains to like functionally do everything. It's insanely, I don't know, just credit myself for like the people that constructed these lenses, but it's not as complicated as you would think. And a lot of people would lead you to believe that you need to spend $400 to have some guy open that up, damage it, learn what they're doing, and then give you some item that's... I've had so many bad services recently. This is why I'm prying open my own lenses. I've spent hundreds of dollars for people to fix my shit and just do a horrible job of it. I'm like, I feel like I can do better. And it's working. It's working. We'll see when I shoot it. But yeah, I'm all about just buying myself a bottle of scotch, saving the hundreds, and then opening the thing up myself. Okay. I enjoy cameras, if that counts. It does. Greetings, Pat. Long time no see. Pleasure, Fabian. Yeah, these damned vacations. Why do I take them? No, I'm happy happy to be back. And lastly, Jen's Kid. I do some photography. I use a Canon 5D Mark I. I would never open up a modern digital camera, by the way. Never. And try to work on that. I would probably save that for a professional because I'm not good with electronics. And I'm sure that is a rabbit hole that is going to cause me to dive even deeper into like soldering kits and like different utilities to get the job done on a digital camera. But old mechanical cameras, easy peasy. I'll show you the tutorial. But at any rate, we should probably start this, right? What are we here for? Mr. Weatherlight? Welcome back to the 99, where we're focused on brewing a better competitive commander. I'm your host, Patrick Marlette, and this is no, it's not Cold Brew. It was going to be Cold Brew Friday. It's Brewmaster, bitches. You're none of you, bitches. You're all brew babies here. And you attend these sessions to help me either fix, make, or correct, or better the list of our Brew Masters who happen to be Patreon members. So if you wanted to suggest lists to be covered on a bi-weekly basis here on the 99, you can do so over on Patreon at the Brewmaster tier and or our cold brew sessions, which I was about to segue into. If you're a community member on the 99, you can actually suggest what we make next. And obviously, not only make the suggestions, but vote on what is picked for our bi-weekly cold brew. So if you want to do that, the join button's down there, and I'll encourage you to like the shit out of this video so that it gets pushed to more people. For some reason, these videos die. They die on arrival. So I need your help with these live streams quite a bit to push them, because YouTube does not like my live stream content for some reason. But I do, and that's why we're here. And our first brewmaster of the day is Connor Taylor. He's in the chat now, and I will try to find your previous comment, Connor. There we go. Okay, so before we jump into this one, I will read Connor's comment on the updates and the original statement concerning Gerrard Weatherlight Hero, a deck I've named Mr. Weatherlight. So if you're following, there's a link in the description. We can test this list out together once we've revised it. And from 4:15, we'll say to like 5:15, that's the hour cutoff for this particular deck. I've run a Gerrard Weatherlight Hero deck since I stepped my toes into cEDH. I remember building it about the same time you built Teshar for the first time, and I really learned a lot watching that deck grow, while also tweaking and working on my own. Is he perfect? No, he's Boros, but I love him. My play group has grown less spiky over time, though, and I do believe he is in need of a tune-up. Less spiky, and you want to crush them. Okay. His win con is the little Mog Fanatic that could, or a Pyrite Spellbomb. And I'm assuming, like, we have... Oh, we don't. I see Loyal Retain... Okay, I'm going to keep reading what you said. He is all in, no stacks, go hard, throw some eggs around kind of commander. Okay, so Connor states that I added an Oswald, Thrilling Discovery, I felt it was lacking some draw overall. Yeah, probably. I've been trying out Defense Grid 2. All these work well, pulling things out of the deck and recurring them. I bet. So, here we are. Gerrard, Weatherlight Hero. So for 2 generic and Boros, as was stated, legendary creature, human, soldier, first strike, 3/3 body, pretty beefy. Use some pyroclasms, why not? When Gerrard Weatherlight Hero dies, exile it and return to the battlefield all artifact and creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn. Well, what's already unique about this particular build is the fact that you have access to red over something like a Teshar, and the CMC for these two creatures is the same, except Teshar is a lot more squishy. So, obviously the makeup of Teshar is pretty different. I don't think you're going to rely on as many Mer Retrievers, but one of the main combo lines that I see and I distinguish as a win con in Gerrard Weatherlight Hero is with an enchantment called Goblin Bombardment. And you can tell me if you've used this before. If you have, why did you take it out? Was it not suiting you well? I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, because if you're using Underworld Breach, it's actually really easy to get to with like a grinding station. You can sort of set this up. But you have another card in the deck called Loyal Retainers that functions really well with this. So I'm just going to start by going over a basic combo that I understand for the list. Loyal Retainers, the same copy I own from the Commander's Arsenal. 2 generic, 1 white, creature human advisor, 1/1 body. All this must be done before combat on your turn, so like not post-combat. But sacrifice Loyal Retainers, return target legendary creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate this ability only during your turn before attackers are declared. So it's my understanding that you could just Goblin Bombardment, Gerrard Weatherlight Hero, trigger on the stack from Gerrard, go ahead and sacrifice Loyal Retainers, does not want to stay on my screen, there we go, to bring back Gerrard, and then Gerrard's ability will trigger bringing back Loyal Retainers. So you can ping people out functionally with this. And it's the same sort of concept with like a blasting station too. But obviously, you know, Gumbaba is cheaper. So you kind of want it for that. The benefit of blasting station is the fact that if someone removes it and you break Gerrard, you can bring it back. Obviously, that is a functional benefit for this list. And obviously, any artifact or creature that can do the job, you probably just want to rely on them handedly for that job. However, you can use Goblin Bombardment, and maybe you can tell me why or why not you aren't using it. But that's something I would add probably. But we can look at the deck makeup to start now. And then we have a general idea of what Gerrard wants to do. We can look over the list. I'm expecting to see... Well, you know what? Let's look at the image gallery. This will give us a good idea of what we're working with. Usually see a lot of sack outlets in this list. Again, very similar to our hero, our true hero, Teshar. But here we have Memory Jar. This is to help with the draw, I assume, which is definitely needed in some instances. And it's actually easier to get to Memory Jar at 5 CMC in a red list because you do have the rituals. And let's see how many rituals we're on. None. How early do you want Gerrard out, I guess? You have things like Rite of Flame to use too, right? So we have Jeska's Will, but we don't have any of the easy ways to get Gerrard out. I would probably recommend we go for at least a handful of rituals. I mean, Pyretic Ritual, Desperate Ritual, maybe a Simian Spirit Guide in here if you don't have it yet, just to get the ball rolling on your game plan. Anytime you can utilize fast mana to get the job done, you should. And it looks like we do have the capability of adding some fast mana in here, right? Lotus Bloom, I assume, is good in the list if you somehow bin it with like a loot effect, right? And then you bring it back out with Gerrard, or you could just suspend it for 3. But to be honest, over a Lotus Bloom, I would rather have a Rite of Flame. I'd rather just I would just get there quicker so that Jeska's Will is active for both of its effects, right? Because if you had a Pyretic Ritual or you had a Desperate Ritual, that's 2 for 3. And then you can more quickly get Gerrard down. He is somewhat major to the game plan. And we have Hellkite Courser, which I feel like we can probably ditch. There's no great way to aim for the Courser. Mind you, though, if you were to go for a balls to the wall build, I'll walk you through a combo I think works. Let's just see if I can logic this on the fly, and then obviously I'll turn to everyone in the comment section. Priority to our channel members, but in case you're wondering why I skip around the chat here. Hellkite Courser. For 4 generic double red creature dragon flying, when Hellkite Courser enters the battlefield, you may put a commander you own from the command zone onto the battlefield. It gains haste. Return it to the command zone at the beginning of the next end step. I feel, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you do something like the Goblin Bombardment, let's just say you had Goblin Bombardment, Gerrard, and then you had Reality Scramble, right? So you use Reality Scramble, which reads, for 2 generic double red, sorcery, put target permanent you own at the bottom of your library. Ooh, this wouldn't work. You need the Transmogrify. And there's a couple of effects that work this way. This one's Destroy. It should be. Exile? Damn it. Just the one that destroys it. Thought being, you could destroy Gerrard, get the trigger, get the creature. It's not going to work, is it? I said I would try to logic this on the fly. It never really goes well when you do that. There is a way. There is a way to cheat this guy out. And when you have this guy out, you could go ahead and more easily accomplish the combo with a Blasting Station and or a Goblin Bombardment. Which one is Destroy? I know that there's the Divergent Transformation. We're not going to take your list this far left, okay? But I'm trying to... There's one that says Destroy, damn it. I swear. Is it Luca? No, it's not. I'm taking crazy pills. Apparently, I've got this wrong. I've memorized this completely wrong. I don't think Hellkite Courser's the one. But yes, it does combo in the deck. It's just very costly, and we don't really have that many rituals outside of like a Dockside Extortionist that gets us there, and it's kind of a ritual. Priest of Ouroboros is a good way to make mana. I'm sure there's a combo there. It sounded like your main win was Mog Fanatic, and that's still a win in the deck. That's fine. You just need a sack outlet. And a way to recur our boy. So something like the Loyal Retainers. But let me catch up with you guys. Specifically Connor, if you're in the chat. I used it before. I swapped it for a different sack outlet that was a creature artifact, but the same combo works with Hellkites. The same combo works with Hellkite, you say? Yeah. You mean outside of Loyal Retainers? I think there's another thing that's cheaper that works for this combo, too. Let's see here. Sure, I have them all. Bloom was in here because once it's sacked, it just keeps coming back and having okay. Polymorph destroy as well. Damn it, gens, we're not in blue. We're not in blue today. All right, so the first thing I want to look at is it's killing me because yes. So this and this do the same thing, right? Your loyal retainers and your Hellkite Courser. But damn, there's I swear there's another one. We're gonna find it, damn it. Return creature. No, just return battlefield creature. Let's just see if we do it this way. Come on. Partial pairing, Boros, let's go. There can only be so many. Only be so many. Graveyard. Kind of important that we get that graveyard trigger, right? I feel like there's probably a better lower CMC creature than the dragon. And I think it's something like a Karmic Guide, or there's got to be something under that. I could swear there was something under a Karmic Guide in CMC. Would a Karmic Guide work? Let's see here. Enters the battlefield, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Yeah, you would need to let that thing resolve. Wouldn't you? Wouldn't you? Shit. I can't have that. I can't have that. Is that accurate? Hold up. Gerrard goes to the graveyard. This is probably why I don't play Gerrard. I don't want to have to think this hard. Okay, Gerrard goes to the graveyard. Oh, we have infinite mana with Auriok. That's cute, too. You need an outlet still. But, I mean, you could really just use Gerrard, screw the ability, and then if you had infinite mana, use any sack outlet that killed people to do the same thing, right? When he dies, so that means a battlefield to graveyard, exile and return to the battlefield, all artifacts and creatures in the graveyard. Okay. So, you do that. Before he gets exiled, you need to bring his ass back, and Karmic Guide works on entering the battlefield. So yeah, not gonna happen, kids. Okay, that might be it then. You might need the dragon. Correct me if I'm wrong. Zachary, love the show. Thanks. Thank you. I hope that my struggle is enjoyable. Let me get rid of some of the things I think don't work, and then we'll try to just put in some of the ramp to get things going a little bit quicker. And then obviously we'll try to utilize what you have here already. It'd be nice if we can sort of cheese this out, but 6 CMC, it is kind of rough. It's a little rough. Outside of like a reanimator list, I usually don't recommend anything that's like 6 CMC or higher as a hard cast. And some games just go that long. And you said off the bat, like, we're not going for the stacks route, so you're not going to insist the game goes that long. And the fact that it's 6 CMC really irks me. You know, if you're using Phyrexian Altar or Ashnod's Altar, you'll probably get there a little bit more quickly, but let's see here. Okay, so I love Faithless Looting. I love Gamble, Shattered Skull Smashing. Love all these cards. Asimi's Wreck, fine. Wheel of Misfortune. Again, these are really better when you have rituals in the deck, right? So that you can get these to pop off quicker. And I mean like actual rituals, not necessarily mana rocks. I'm not high on Wheel of Misfortune. I don't see this list going that quickly. And I don't really like giving value to my opponents. I know you need draw. I know it's crazy of me to say this. I might take Wheel of Misfortune out for now and just keep Wheel of Fortune, because Wheel of Fortune will combo with Underworld Breach in the deck you have now. The composition of this deck now, you can actually combo with Underworld Breach, but it's not like something we're aiming for. And Wheel of Misfortune, I just don't like giving other players value. I know drawing is nice, but we're going to assume your land base is perfect. It usually is. We have Urza Saga. Cool. So we've updated for modern land base. There really isn't much else that a deck like this would have received. You could use War Room if you want, if you're really desperate for card draw, right, from Commander Legends, but I'm not absolutely certain you need that. Because we could be using other rummage effects, like things like Thrill of Possibility and such, to get the job done as well, or at least get more cards accessible to us. Wear and Tear, good, flexible, deflecting SWAT, fine. Tybalt's Trickery, good. Pyroblast, Elemental Blast, these are all essentials. Silence, Swords Plowshare, Enlightened Tutor. This is a very bare bones package for instant speed spells. I'm trying to think if there's anything that's core in Boros that you're really missing. I mean, I think you had it. I'm lying. You might have like an Abrade might be good for you, right? Obviously, an Abrade is essential. A Mog Salvage is essential because what stops this list, right? When you're thinking about the removal suite for a deck, you need to consider what stops this deck. And as I've found out recently, Oswald doesn't like fucking creatures, doesn't like dealing with other people's creatures. So I'm going to update my suite there. Here, the thing that stops you is if someone shuts off your artifacts, right? Someone shuts off your artifacts, you're going to have a really bad day because 32 cards in your list, not to mention any artifact lands you might have in here, just get shut down, right? So I would probably add a Mogg Salvage. I think you'll get there so far as having a mountain is concerned, and it's just a free interaction off turn for you to start up your turn and get the job done, right? If someone has a Null Rod or anything of that nature. But an Abrade is also good to hit the Collector Oof or the Null Rod. If your meta just doesn't run much stacks, then maybe you can get away without using this much removal, but I would recommend it, and maybe even a Fragmentize in the 1 CMC slot, white Fragmentize. Destroy artifact or enchantment 4 CMC and under. That's another good piece of removal. I don't think you need anything like a dismantling wave or anything to go wide here. I think you want a light package, like a low cost suite. That's sort of why I'm recommending Mogg Salvage. We can add that in a second, but this is like the bare minimum. I would keep these, and we might want to add to our list here. And I would probably add Goblin Bombardment in again because you need these redundancies. Like even if let's discount the redundancies that actually get the job done by themselves. Like Blasting Station gets the job done. Something like Grinding Station can help to get the job done, but does not kill Gerrard, right? So you need this in tandem with something else. And you can mill yourself. I would recommend milling yourself with this. I would recommend milling yourself with this to hit your Sevinne's Reclamation and pull up a win con. I don't like milling people as a win con. It never turns out well. Or it can end poorly, but you can win by milling someone out, right? But that one guy's got a Noxus Revival and then like the Fullest Grave, that's gonna suck, right? But I usually try to I tend to mill myself for the solution. And if you're using Teshar, then maybe this isn't bad. Mind you, Sevinne's Reclamation only hits 3 and under, so you might need to plan out your turns. Like maybe you need to do a Ranger Captain of Eos to get your Walking Ballista in hand, so you'll stop when you see that Sevinne's Wreck yourself for the Ranger Captain and something of value, probably ramp. And then put the Walking Ballista in your hand before they both hit the yard. I'm sorry if this, I don't know if any of this is clicking. But these are just thoughts. We'll look at the artifacts in a second. That seems to be a bigger part of the card pool here. I hate Hellkite Courser being essential. I feel like you should be able to pivot. I feel like your Recruiter of the Guard, your Imperial Recruiter are going to go for Loyal Retainers 9 times out of 10. It seems to be a big part of the strategy here. I'm not high on Priest of Urabrox. I'm really not high on Hellkite Corsair. Let's see if I'm crazy and see if we can get around having utilize it. I'm not really crazy on Teshar either. I would just say that you should probably play for Teshar instead. I think at 4 CMC, that's a legendary you sort of need to commit to. And while obviously this list has a lot of overlaps with Teshar, I think it's going to bog down your turn, right? If you have the setup, right? If you have the eggs in your graveyard or whatever, you have the capability of going off on your turn. Excuse me. Because you are using more retrievers and such. Like if you have the capability of going off on your turn and you top deck Teshar, you're just adding to the combo pile another A element where A in this instance is Gerrard and you don't need another A element, right? Like A plus B plus C. This is already 3-card combo minimum. So I would probably not work with the redundancy for something in the command zone unless Drannith Magistrate is like a huge issue for you. And I see you're not using any stacks. Drannith is one of those ones you usually make an excuse for because it's also good at stopping opposing Underworld Breach strategies. But if you want to avoid it, that's okay too. It's also just it's almost like having Deflecting SWAT because Drannith Magistrate is going to attract a lot of ire from your opponents and will probably eat whatever removal spell instead of your Gerrard, right? It's not going to, the threat level on this over your Gerrard just giving you value is much higher, right? Because this hurts everyone. So that's another way to think of it, right? It's almost like running Defense Grid. I don't know. Not the same at all. I think otherwise these are fine. Goblin Welder rather is cute. I like the tutor with Goblin Engineer. I don't know how much this deck relies on utilities like Salvager of Ruin, Scrap Trawler, Workshop Assistant. For me, I would probably just try to power out the combos that we've already prescribed, like with the Hellkite Courser or now just Loyal Retainers, really going for them and then having multiple sack outlets, maybe Claws of Gix if you don't have it, because that's just a good way to get the trigger on Gerrard. And then obviously Claws of Gix in tandem with Ashnod's Altar is going to give you the mana requisite to do Claws of Gix, because Claws of Gix cost 1 to activate. And again, I'm sorry, I play, or I've played this kind of strategy for years, so if I'm speaking quickly over stuff that doesn't seem to make sense, I promise it will make sense when we're playtesting the deck. But this is one that you can sort of utilize. And because you have the grinding station in here, part of me feels like your other sub-strategy could be an Underworld Breach Aetherflux Storm play, because you have a myriad of ways to pull into Aetherflux Reservoir with Underworld Breach and Grinding Station and then just win the game with that and not even need to consider or care about your Gerrard. And yes, you know, Gerrard is the main strategy here, but maybe add in an Aetherflux combo instead. Elsewhere Flask. The penis that could. It draws when it ETBs. Choose basic land type. Each land you control becomes that type. I don't know. Is that really that useful? It's a draw, right? It's an outlet for the deck, but I don't know how useful that is by itself. I would rather just rely on the spheres and stars of the world, the chromatic pieces. But I don't know if we can have everything with creatures here. Wait up. Salvage Cat's fine. Salvage Cat's good if you have like another thing to Phyrexian Altar for white mana, right? And then you're able to do this and then sack. Well, I guess your ultimately Gerrard will be the white mana off of like a Phyrexian Altar to do this, and then you can sort of loop an artifact back to your hand. Maybe not Lotus Bloom. I'm gonna get rid of Lotus Bloom for now. We'll see if we can function without it. All of these seem to make sense. Again, I really don't know like your dependence on the artifact recursion element here. There are obviously combos that work in tandem with this, sack outlets and such. You would really just want fast mana in most instances, right? Let me see here. There's another sack outlet strictly for artifacts. I feel like the sack outlets for artifacts are not going to be something I leaned on here. I made a Gerrard ages ago. So what I did is not necessarily something I'd prescribe, but I don't remember using this many artifact sack outlets. All right, anyways. Pirate Spellbomb, you win the game. And Connor, obviously, you can talk to me if you're in the chat still. Oh no, I totally agree. It sucks that 6 CMC is the best alternative I had to retainers. Okay. And Connor, yeah, let me know if I'm talking crazy, if I'm talking out of my ass here. I'm going to do some things. I'm going to do some radical things here. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to take this out. I don't know if it's going to function well for you. I'm going to take this out. These are some higher CMC things that I don't think allow you to power off as quickly or do what you want to do as quickly, right? These are fine. Let's all of these we need, right? This is fine. This is fine. The grinding station, in my mind, should really be the only artifact sack utility here, because like your retrievers and such, they're all creatures, so long as you have a sack outlet for a creature, you're fine. I would reintroduce Goblin Bombardment. I would rather have the damage on board. Like, even if it's just like, even if you don't combo with Goblin Bombardment, it's 1 damage to target anything, and you're able to get those things back after you've bombarded them, right? So this is a good way to remove various threats that you're having to suffer through. If you just happen to top deck it, right? Okay. Let's just stop there. Let's just say that all of this makes sense. Not extremely high on the implements as well. We'll take those out. I lied. Not really high in the implements. Not really high in the bomb. Sorry, bomb. And we've cut a few things. So we've got 12 spots. Let's go ahead and add some stuff. So already I know I want to add the rituals. Right? I don't think I missed any fast mana. I don't think we missed any fast mana here. I saw Chrome Mox. We probably want a Mox Opal. Okay, yep, you got that. I think we have Jeweled Lotus, Lotus Petal, all that stuff. I think we have it all. Okay. Yeah, you got Urza Saga. Your land count was good. Okay. Rite of Flame. Pyretic Ritual. Desperate Ritual. Seething Song, right? If we added the dragon back in, but even Seething Song for just pumping out combo pieces is probably good. Goblin Bombardment. Let's just do the Seething Song and we'll see how we feel about it as we go along here. I'll save that out. As I mentioned, we might want a little bit more in the removal suites just because. Yeah. hit me up with those amazing Boros removal spells. None of them are really coming to mind outside of like Wear and Tear. That's the one oddity that you definitely see in most Boros list. But I think an Abrade is probably called for. And I think because of your unique effects, like your ability... I was going to say something like a Meltdown would be really cool. And then you can sort of just leverage Gerrard to bring those things back. But then if you're sacrificing all your artifacts, it's kind of hard to reintroduce them if your sack outlet was also removed simultaneously, right? So I want to add Claws of Gix. Let's just see if it plays well. It's working well in my mind with the outlets that give you mana. And I'll save this out first. Let me save this out. Okay. Did you mean take out Mana Vault? No, I did not want to take out Mana Vault. You accidentally took out Mana Vault rather than one of the implements. Oh, fuck. Did I? Oh, I did not mean to do that. Here. Mana Vault. Did I really? Yeah. We'll, we don't want to take out Mana Vault. And we were going to probably add a Grimmon. Oh, it's right there. Yeah. Yeah, let's save that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Can you tell me what the top of the list is like? I arrived now. Luis, the top of the list is like? The top of the list? I don't know what you mean. Like the high CMC cards? There's not that many. Use all the white destroy non-lands. You're going to get them back anyways. Use all of the white destroy non-lands. All of the white destroy non-lands. Rip Apart is a new one I like. Yes. We'll just stop there. That's probably enough. Some of these dual color spells are going to be good with like the... In most instances, they might just go under Mox, Chrome Mox. Jeez Louise, that name was eluding me. I'm probably just going to go under a Chrome Mox, and that's fine. It's fine. I think that we wanted some draw utilities, right? And so far as Boros is concerned, there really hasn't been a huge update to the pool of draw utilities you'll see in Boros. Like many lists in white and red, you especially ones that are like egg based like this, you're probably just going to rely on those eggs to draw incrementally as you go through your turns. You had pretty much all of them, right? Like the lantern, the stars, sphere, the chromatic stuff. That's all there. I'll take some recommendations if you guys want. We only have so many spots left before we start testing this, so I'm interested. Cathar's Commando, this is the new one. And because she comes back, yeah, I kind of like this. I actually agree with you. This is kind of dope as a recurable thing. Yeah, we didn't really run much creature-wise that did this, but because you're able to functionally get her back, I kind of like that. Yeah, we'll add Cathar Commando, and we'll probably remove one of the removal spells we have in now, because we probably won't need this many. I even just add Fragmentize to the side here. Right, if I didn't add it in the main deck already. No, I didn't. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. You're so right. We do want to add the Moonsilver Key. And you're probably right on Oswald. I think that Oswald's going to be fine in the body of this list. And Moonsilver Key makes sense because it's going to give us hopefully an outlet in a time of need. Right, and it could just be the Chromatic Star in certain instances with the Ashnod's Altar getting you the Chromatic Star, drawing the deck, right? Because you'll need the Loyal Retainers, you need something to get his butt back. There was another card outside of Loyal Retainer. I swear to God, there was another one. I'm going to have to dig in the archives. Anyway, do you like Thrilling Discovery? We'll find out. I got a foil of her in my pre-release. Let's go. Oh, Cathar Commando. Yeah. Excellent. Moonsilver Key is pretty. It does. Any particular reason for the preference of tapped out over Moxfield? I like the system better. That's it. That's really it. Thrilling Discovery. This is Strixie. What's nice about this over your typical rummage effect is that it's not as additional cost. So you give yourself the opportunity to do this as it resolves. And that's actually useful, right? Because it's a May also, if there was a Hull Breacher still, or something of that same family, like a Notion Thief, then you can sort of skirt around it. Swirling Discovery is kind of cool. What I like about it is it fills your grave with stuff you want. Unfortunately, the stuff needs to have left the battlefield that turn with Gerrard, if I'm not mistaken. So it's kind of hard to load your grave, like preload it for Gerrard. Yeah. Yeah. It is difficult. But we should be good. We can add that if you guys want to try it. Safi sadly won't work, but I get you. I'm not really high on Generous Gift. I think that if we just use targeted removal for the stuff we need, then we'll be good. I'm happy trying Thrilling Discovery, and I think this is something that Connor said he had put in the list, so this is going to be more or less kind of along the same lines now. But this is 100 cards, so we might as well try it. Oh gosh, Luis, I don't understand that, but Moon Silver Key is pretty. All right, 96% competitive. If you remember, it was 95 earlier. Connor, we're going in the right direction. All right, let's try this. Let's see here. Is this a good starting hand? Not really. I like the stuff here, but not really. Damn, this boy with this card. Pretty good in a list that brings things back, right? But yeah, this isn't going to work. Well, we got the Rite of Flame. We've got, well, man, if we just pulled into a land, a white land, that would be amazing. Okay, of course not. All right, so like a Rite of Flame, Pyretic Ritual, Underworld Breach, defend it. No, we're not gonna, none of this. We'll keep this hand just to dawdle with it, but we're not gonna do what I was just illustrating there. That would be stupid. Okay, so we got another mount. It's just mono red today. Mono red here. Yes, in an ideal, I would have kept this hand outright if it had basic plains and a basic mountain, or snow plains, no mountain, but such is not the case here. We have our sack outlet, though. That's good. We have Underworld Breach. We've got Goblin Welder, which is also always good. But I think, man, we're so screwed because I really want to put down this Goblin Welder. There's really no great utility here, I guess is what I'm saying. We can just put down Phyrexian Altar because, right, with the Rite of Flame, but that's not great. That's not great. Whatever. Okay, let's do that. Oh god, we need lands bad. We need lands so bad. Thank god. Okay, so yeah, we're gonna move on from here. Man, would Expedition Map be called for? Maybe. Man, we're really not seeing any hands, any real keepable hands here. And did I add Simian Spirit Guide actually? Okay. Well, let's correct this real quick. We'll add a Simian Spirit Guide, and then I'll sideline one of our removal spells. I don't think we're gonna need as much, but I did want to put at least a little bit more. I think it's going to be Rip Apart only because, well, we didn't have white mana in that little trial run, so not to say that makes this a bad card, but probably going to want to stick with stuff that's singular colored. Yeah, this is still a really good spell. Damn, it's still really good, even at sorcery speed. But if we're trying to go balls to the walls, we can't really do that. And I think Faithless Looting is probably enough, but I don't want to switch out anything else in this instance. You know what's funny? Like, we had the mana to do the Wheel of Misfortune there, so I'm just going to say that maybe that's keepable now. Especially with the rituals, we should be able to pop those off a little bit more quickly. And as the deck is laid out now, I think the wheel makes more sense. You want to do the wheel... You really want to do these wheels turn 1, turn 2, like, soon, really soon. Because you don't want other proactive lists to have spent their hand, like, dropped 5 or 6 cards, and then you wheel them, right? You're just, it's very single-sided when you do that, right? If you're not really benefiting off these wheels, you're like a slow starter and you wheel mid or late game. And I mean mid as in turn 3 onwards. Like that's really the midpoint for a cEDH table. You're going to inadvertently help these more proactive decks that are just going to thwart everyone else with a fresh hand, right? So they'll say whatever for Wheel of Misfortune. But I generally steer clear of wheels unless I'm moving really quickly. This is better. So 1 damage to creature, each creature without flying. This is interesting. I didn't see this guy. I don't think we need it, but we obviously have it, so we're going to use it. Do we have Gemstone Caverns, by the way? Yeah, we do. Okay, good. But we do want to get Plateau. So let's try this. Yeah. We're holding Pyroblast. We're holding an Enlightened Tutor. I'm not too concerned about Kark Clan Shaman in this instance. I think we would probably just avoid that. I would like to Enlightened Tutor. And what's odd here is we have our utility for Walking Ballista, right? So Ranger Captain Eos, the general target, I would say 90% of the time for most tables is a Walking Ballista in your deck. But obviously there's other stuff you can grab. Like we have Esper Sentinel here in this particular makeup. But it's usually grabbing that one combo card, an outlet, right? It's also a silence on board. But this is sadly not an Ashnod's Altar or anything that's going to give us mana. So we can grab a different outlet here, right? Other than Altar of Dementia, or we can just work with that. What I really want... God, no. Okay. Shield Lotus. That would have been great. I want to Enlighten Tutor first. I was going to say like a Mana Crypt. Mana Crypt is usually good, or like a Soul Ring in this instance. But I was going to do Mana Crypt. And then we obviously have Gerrard at this point. So that's on top. Cool. We'll drop this. Drop this. Is it good to just put Gerrard down? Maybe not in this instance, because we don't really have a setup for Gerrard right now. And obviously, I see why you want these artifact removals to recur these things, but... Man, you might need to be spread that... You might need to spread that thin, like with your card base to do that. I think that we can look at... Maybe Arcbound Ravager was like the only artifact destruction I would want to keep. Obviously, KCI is great, but you would just need, if you have fast mana, like with your Moonsilver Key, all that stuff now, if you have the fast mana, you just want a way to break it. It's easier to get that. Is there a 1 CMC artifact destruction creature? Just this one? Okay. So Ranger Captain for Kark Clan Shaman. But yeah, there's no sense in putting Gerrard out now. I'll leave him off to the side. I will put down the Kark Clan Shaman, and I will put down the Altar of Dementia, though. And this gives us the ability to hold the Pyroblast. Maybe we need it. But obviously, this is not a bad setup. We just need our loyal retainers. We did shuffle last time. I'll shuffle it again. All right. All right. So we have a Pyretic Ritual here. We have 2 white, 1 generic. In earnest, I still don't see a need to put Gerrard down, so I'm probably going to go with a Ranger Captain here and call it a day with that. We still have this open for the Pyroblast. We got the Pyretic Ritual when we need it. Maybe the Dragon comes back. And then obviously, it would help to know all of our 1 and 0 drop creatures, so let me just pull up another window so we can look at those really quick. Well, Mog Fanatic's another outlet. There's no great way to leverage Salvage Scout without the LED, really. Esper Sentinel would be sweet, though. Yeah, okay. So we'll get Esper Sentinel, and we'll cast him. Right? Cool. Yeah, is this risky? No, because you have silence on board, but that's fine. All right, let's just say we got a draw out of the Esper Sentinel. More countermeasures. Cool. And the Salvage Scout we didn't want to grab. Okay, so let's put Gerrard down now. And then we'll do just that, really. I honestly think we need to wait. If we need to wipe the board clear, we have the ability to do damage, 3 damage on board. Probably don't need to do that. Don't need to go that hard. Let's pretend off turn that we need to do the red elemental blast. And then we got a draw, maybe 2 draws. A lot of the times people don't really care about Esper Sentinel and we'll just give you the draw, particularly if the list is Boros. Like, what's the worst that Boros can do at instant speed? And usually not that much. And you saw, we only have like 9 instant speed spells in this list. So is it really detrimental? No, you can usually feed those lists and it's okay. You don't necessarily want to. I'm not prescribing that, but people do it all the time. All right. Well, we are just waiting for shit to hit. So we have an ability to mill ourselves here. We have a way to break our artifacts. We have a way to break a creature. We don't have a... Would it have made sense to grab the Walking Ballista here? Let me see. Nah, you bring them back. We still need a Loyal Retainer or something to bring Gerrard back, sadly. Right? Yeah, we're really just looking for them creatures. And maybe we put that dragon back because we got the mana now. Let's do that. I think that this guy is fine if you need to sack an artifact and you need to grab him with this. I still like having Claws of Gix to sack any permanent. And I'll turn to you guys. What do you guys think? It kills Gerrard. You can hold priority, trigger on the stack, sack more artifacts, and wipe everything comes back. Everything but Gerrard, you mean? Everything but Gerrard? Probably. You know what's kind of cool, though, is like we can actually sack Ranger Captain and then sack Gerrard and like get our stuff out. That's not so bad. But Trent says, I'm working, so I missed a lot, but we have Goblin Welder that tutors. We have the Goblin Engineer. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Slobob. This is the other Goblin. Sacrifice an artifacts. Target. Yeah, I mean, I think that this guy's not so bad. He's really not that bad. To sack things and just wipe the board, it's really not that bad. Dragon Rage Channeler is the new one that surveils. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, surveil. All right. You could do stuff with. You can actually do work with this if we had our utility creatures that return stuff from our grave. This looks like a slower game right now, and it looks like we're sort of going to be on the defensive for the most part. I do want to start another game, though, to see what else we can do before we make any more additional revisements, and I'll obviously turn to you guys for any thoughts you might have on Gerrard, what you would want to change. I might say we put back the dragon. Like, that redundancy seems necessary. Unless I'm mistaken, if there is another thing that combos with Gerrard here, I'm trying to think. I swear to God, there was like another loyal retainer. It's killing me that it's not coming to mind, because I came up with a really quirky thing to do in Atla Polani. She's obviously not the same. She's Naya, but it didn't require green. No. Okay. Let's try this again. Moonsilver Keep. Oh, this is a decent hand. Okay, so this. Cool. This can get us any artifact that produces mana. So, in my mind, let's see here. Well, we don't want that. We want this. Oh no, I'll do this. Spectator seating? Sure, kid. Sure. We can break the Moonsilver Key and grab something. Now, yeah, you might want to consider holding this and trying to grab instead. You can use Moonsilver Key to grab an LED because it's a combo card with Auriok Salvagers and then the Salvage Scout. You can also grab your Chromatic Star, Chromatic Sphere because it's a combo card with a lot of the Retrievers. All this stuff is really dependent on our having the retainers out, it seems, right? And a larger part of me feels like widening the win cons might be effective, right? I think we could still get the job done if we did Underworld Breach Grinding Station in a lot of instances and sort of pull out other win cons instead, which makes me feel like those rummage effects might be useful, like the Throw of Possibility, other Faithless Lootings. Maybe we add in the Thrill of Discovery again. That wouldn't be so bad. But you have Salvager of Ruin works, but you need the mana and rocks to recast Gerrard. Yeah, I bet. Does Cursed Mirror work here? Cursed Mirror? Does Cursed Mirror work here? Goblin Matron to just get Welder Engineer? Man, maybe. So, you know, what we don't have in this list, which I really like, man, you know what? Maybe that's what we need to do. Okay, so we'll stop here. This is not a bad start. This is very good. Because we're sorely at a lack of tutors, I kind of want to just add some of my favorite cards. Let's do Fork Reverberate. Because I got to tell you, I would have really loved to have copied someone's tutor, someone's adding on something to help us. I also want to do Mog Salvage instead of one of the other ones. Like, I would rather just do the thing freely. And Cursed Mirror. Does Cursed Mirror work here? Yeah, you may have it come in as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has haste. So, are we saying, can we have Cursed Mirror enter the battlefield and like become a copy of Gerrard? That's an interesting question. It would be cool to have Curse Mirror enter as a copy of Gerrard and then have the Curse Mirror hit the graveyard. Is it a copy when it hits the graveyard? That's what I want to know, because you'd get the triggered ability. I don't think so. I don't know. It does work here, though. You can have it copy any... you may have it become a copy of any creature on the battlefield. That's really decent. Like, that's a really good effect, because you can steal anything from your opponents as well. I don't hate this card. Curse Mirror is kind of cool. We can sideline it. It's actually a really unique utility, and I feel like if it had a home, it would be here. My brain is not working at full capacity, though, to help you on that. If it's going to be amazing here. Could Dreamstone Hedron be good in this deck? And Nim Deathmantle could do the trick. You're absolutely right. Would Dreamstone Hedron be good in this deck? That's the 4 CMC one. Dreamstone Hedron. Oh, God. I'm sorry. It's a 6 CMC one. The other one is something Hedron. God, what is it? I would even go with maybe the Hedron Archive instead. This is a unique way to draw 2 cards, and then you can sort of just run it back with Gerrard, right? You can keep doing this to run it back. 4 CMC is probably as high as I would want to go. And then obviously the draw 2 is not so bad. So, like, I don't mind that. Dreamstone Hedron is fine as well. You know, I feel like a Cloudstone Curio would do good here. Right? But there's no real way to leverage it outside of the Dockside Extortionist, which is probably another thing we would want to shoot for in certain instances, particularly if we have the Grinding Station out. Let me see here. I like having Curse Mirror enter as a copy of Goblin Engineer. Ah, that's cool. And it has haste, right? It gives it haste? It gives it haste? Am I mistaken? Yeah, okay. I like you find some prisoners in Bergie to steal tutors. I like that. For the record, alternative starts, I used Codex Shredder, Return Effects, Stoneforge, and Deathmantle. So Nim Deathmantle is an interesting recursion card. So what Nim Deathmantle does, when a non-token creature is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, you can pay 4 if you do return that card to the battlefield attached to Nim Deathmantle. So it sounded like this was an objective before, but isn't one now. I don't mind it. Let me just see what we've included. And if there's any other particular inclusions you would like to see, I don't mind Ragavan, actually. I like Ragavan a lot. I think that's pretty good ramp. So we can add Ragavan. Skirk Prospector, Infernal Plunge to add some speed. I don't know, how... Did we always have a creature down? Our creatures, I feel kind of light, but let me just add Infernal Plunge. You might be right. Maybe we'll get there with creatures. Because 3 red obviously goes right into our boy Gerrard. And then if you sacrifice that creature, you can get it back if Gerrard sacrifices himself, so on and so forth. That's, yeah, these all seem like good additions. Skirk Prospector is the one that sacrifices goblins, right? If you're following along with the chat here. Sacrifice goblin out of red. So it's a little narrow, but I can see why you would potentially want to use it. You resolve Deathmantle trigger first before Gerrard exiles himself and you get them back. Yep. Yeah, you can use that. You don't even need... So with Nim Deathmantle, I don't know. It seems like you were on it, Connor, and you took it out. So we could probably leave it out for now. So we need to remove 5 cards. Okay. So Mindstone is kind of an outlet, right? Let's get rid of this Boros Signet. All of these look fine otherwise. Mishra's Bauble, Urza's Bauble. I only like them as like sack fodder in most instances, right? But they come back with your Gerrard. I'm so iffy on these baubles. Like, they don't do the job now, they do it later. The drawing a card aspect. And they're fine for that. It's just, I feel like that's enough. I mean, not to combo with. If those are just minor value pieces, they feel kind of weak, right? These all seem fine still. I'm going to try to work in Infernal Plunge. I think that makes sense. I like Grinding Station with Savine's Wreck, right? Seething Song. Yeah. Tybalt's Trickery. Yeah, I see it. I see it. I do want to add an Amok Salvage, but that is for another time. I think that we keep the Seething Song. We'll maybe put the Dragon back in just to have a duplicate effect, right? And then we'll do... I'm not really high on these guys. I see the synergy here, but I keep removing them. I feel like I would rather try to prioritize hitting your... just a lower retainer in this dragon, right? And getting the job done with that in a sack outlet, because it's like the most efficient line of play I see. But that's really going to be dependent on relying on other people's tutors with a reverberate or a fork, right? Because the only way we can get those two creatures, or at least one of those creatures, are these two tutors here with the recruiters. Still need to nix 4 cards. And we can discuss which ones we nix, and we can try this again. Just joined. Are we brewing Gerrard right now? We are, Luke. We are indeed. We are sort of like revising one, but it is tough. It is tough to get this square. I really want to add more draw utilities, I gotta say. I like Cathar Commando. I think we leave Cathar Commando and take out maybe... It feels weird to say Wear and Tear. I'm just not high on Tybalt's Trickery right now. I want to cut something from the slot, and really that's the one that stands out the most, because I feel like a Braid is just a little bit better. You can sort of pick it at your own time. I like a Braid just a little bit better. Wear and Tear is fine. All these are fine. There's other redirects we could be using, like a Ricochet Trap, right? That wouldn't be so bad here. It's just another way to negate any sort of blue spells trying to stop you. Yeah, that's fine for instants and sorceries. I don't like these cards. I don't like these cards. I don't know why. I'm sure that they're good. I'm wondering if I want to revisit my Gerrard and just look over how I compiled that list. I don't remember using certain things like these. I'm just not high on these. All right. You remove one more card. Let's get rid of this. Like, this is good by itself. This is good by itself. This is good by itself. It's lower. And let's try this. Okay. Thank you, Luke. Thank you, Luke. All right, Chad, I'm still with you. Angelic Renewal. Angelic Renewal. Angelic Renewal is the enchant. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may sacrifice Angelic Renewal. If you do, return that card to the battlefield. So there's another way to, like, double down on the Gerrard. Is there a way to loop this? Question on everyone's mind, right? Okay. Let's try this again. Well, that monkey. This is not a great start. With this deck, you kind of want to have one of the utilities in hand right off the bat. And I mean, like a sack outlet. Or just the Loyal Retainer and the Dragon. This is something. And we're going to ignore typical mulligan rules. I just want to see if we can find a good hand for this list. And then move from there. So this isn't so bad. With Urza's Saga. Maybe we even lead with Urza's Saga. Or the Bob. Oh, this is another start. Okay, so we do that. We do this. We can hold for the Enlightened Tutor. I think we probably go for the Enlightened Tutor here over the... I should probably draw a card, shouldn't I? Go for the Enlightened Tutor here. So the Enlightened Tutor is going to want to make us our... I think at this point, like the... I'm looking at an outlet here. And just because we have this outlet doesn't mean we necessarily need to shoot for it. Obviously, for something like Salvager of Runes to work, we do need something like a Kark Clan Shaman. Right? And just to... I'm going to shuffle up in a second anyways, but... Salvager of Ruin, you can sacrifice this, put a card back into your hand that was lost from the battlefield this turn. So you could sacrifice this, bring it back, and like ramp out with this and use Walking Ballista, provided you're able to loop our boy over here. Right, because you need to bring back the Salvager of Ruin. Sorry, that's in the deck. This is in our hand, and this is also in our hand. We're Enlightened Tutoring now. So with this Enlightened Tutor, I guess we go for an outlet. Go for a different outlet. I want to do like an Ashnod's Altar. I think that's the way. I think Ashnod's Altar is the way. I could be wrong, but that's what I want to do. Okay. Turn. We'll do Spectator Seating. And yeah, we could go for the Inventor's Fair. It's another tutor, but it's not essential. We get it out of our hand now. I want to put down the Ashnod's Altar. I kind of want to hold for the Reverberate. It's usually in these early phases of the game where people are ripping off their tutors, right, while they can. So part of me feels like just reverberating someone's Imperial Seal would probably be a really good plan. Like getting the most out of this. And let's just pretend that that's what we're doing, because there's no real need to put any of this stuff down. We could just do a 1/1 Walking Ballista, call me insane, but at least it gets it out of our hand. And if you're worried about board wipes, just don't play it out into a field where there's red mana and such. But let's just pretend we do that. At least make use of our Mana Crypt, and we'll go ahead and do Reverberate here. We'll copy someone's tutor, and it could be a DT, it could be a Diabolic Intent, it could be anything really. But let's just say it's an Imperial Seal, as I mentioned earlier, or let's just say Vamp Tutor, whatever. Either one. It's a top deck tutor. It's like another Enlightened. And in this instance, because we have the Ashnod's Altar, everyone knows we have the Ashnod's Altar, we just want to get the Loyal Retainers. Right? And put that on top. So, in this instance, we have a way to make a lot of generic mana. Right? I just want to see if we can win with this setup, with Walking Ballista on the field. So we'll do this and this. We'll do Ashnod's Altar. We'll sacrifice the Walking Ballista and make 2 generic. We'll do this and this. Nah, we don't have enough mana, do we? Okay, sir. Is there a way to do this and get colored mana? No. If one of these was an artifact land, we could have ripped it. You guys can tell me if I did something weird here. If there was a better way to sequence this, but I feel like that was the way to sequence it. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, with a Breach and Angelic Renewal is kind of cool loop. I haven't been looking at the chat, but let me catch up with you guys before we continue. Angelic Renewal, Liquid Metal Torque can turn an Angelic Renewal into an artifact for a loop. It could. Sabine's Rack, but all that. Sun Titan, you could Sun Titan. You could loop it with Breach, but it wouldn't be infinite loop. Maybe with Alter Dementia, you could just keep on feeding Breach. It might work possibly. Okay, so that was initially what I wanted to do. Like, it should be fairly obvious right now that we have, sadly, because we only have 2 colored sources and we need both of them. If this was this third land happened to be a colored source, I think we could have got away with it. But que sera. So we do the Ashnod's Altar. I think we stop there most likely with the Ashnod's Altar. And maybe a Passe-Vu, a hot Passe-Vu. Drop our Krark Clan Shaman, and it's going to be like a turn 4 win instead. Obviously, we're completely unprotected, so if we get winged right now, then we're really screwed. But obviously, just to clear this out and show how this would basically loop with at least Loyal Retainers in this instance. And obviously, with an Underworld Breach and like a Grinding Station on the battlefield, you can do a lot of things. With Auriok Salvager and any of these outlets and LED, you can do a lot of things. And with there are some Nim Death Mantle strategies discussed in the chat, but you can actually do a lot of recursion tricks with Gerrard with Nim Death Mantle, but you can do the same trick with Loyal Retainer and the Dragon Hellkite Courser. But we'll put down Gerrard, and we could do it with the Mana Crypt, or we can do it by sacrificing the Walking Ballista. It's probably better that we just keep Walking Ballista on the battlefield, though. We'll do this and this, and we'll put him on the battlefield. Then we'll go ahead and cast, because we need Loyal Retainers, and in this instance we'll go ahead and sacrifice, we could sacrifice Gerrard here to get the trigger on the stack, right? But that would suck because we have that trigger before this guy resolves, right? So probably need to sacrifice this guy. Okay, so Loyal Retainers on the battlefield. Now we'll sacrifice for 2 generic. Gerrard. And if this goes off without a hitch, we'll say, okay, we'll sacrifice the Loyal Retainers to bring back Gerrard. And then both Loyal Retainers and this guy come back to the battlefield. And in this instance, we'll just keep sacrificing Gerrard, sacrificing Retainers. We can leave the Quark Clan Shaman up now. It's largely irrelevant that we use that. We also have the opportunity, even if we didn't have the... we need the Threshold, sadly. If one of these was an artifact land or we had a third artifact, we could also just incorporate Inventor's Fair in this instance to give us an outlet from our deck, right? Once we've generated infinite mana, because it requires a... Search your library, put it into your hand, because it's only have 3 or more artifacts, so we can actually use this to find a different outlet if for some reason this is shut down, or I don't know what that would be at this point. But it could be like a Phyrexian Walker or Phyrexian Revoker. Is that it? Sure. Someone Phyrexian revokes our Walking Ballista as they see it. We can still use this to find a different outlet. But you're generating infinite generic and then you're able to use Walking Ballista. Okay, so that's that. I wouldn't say that I revised this perfectly, but these are some ways I would try to incorporate redundant effects. Like, I like the effects that just do the damage or do the job on the spot. I like to cut out 4th elements if I can, right? So like in a lot of these instances, like these sack outlets, the ones that make mana are fine, but you do need another element in play to get the job done. And in that instance, it was a Walking Ballista, right? And that's fine. That's okay. But it's nice to be able to just do the Loyal Retainer or the Hellkite Courser with the damage effects, right? Again, Goblin Bombardment and Blasting Station, because then we can have sort of any starter that we want, right? Instead of having to have that 4th element, it could have been just a RAB in our hand to ensure that we get to go off, or a Silence in our hand to ensure that we can go off. Bearing in mind, it would have been really great to see some more of these mana rocks, like in an ideal start for Teshar or Gerrard in this instance, would be a bunch of mana rocks, just to give us the resources we need to do what we want to do. Obviously, if we had additional colored source, we would have been able to do the thing more quickly in that previous game, or like a mana rock out earlier, right, to give us a colored source. But que sera, it is what it is. But any sort of artifact destruction, when you make infinite generic mana, right, like that little Quark, like I actually really like this guy here, but this little Quark Clan Shaman off of a Ranger Captain, or just naturally, which we saw this guy a lot, he could allow you to break anything that draws on arrival, right? Or draws on death, or departure rather, like Chromatic Star here when it's put into a graveyard. You can obviously filter it, but if you just want to break it, you can do that. There were obviously these, let me see here. Didn't we have something that like this, self-sacrifices? Did you have any that didn't self-sacrifice? Because you could leverage these artifact breakers for that too. But obviously, those artifact breakers are nice with the Mer Retriever. Scrap Trawler also pairs well with any artifacts breaking. But those are some changes I would make here. Connor, let me know if this is helpful. I hope it was. You've done amazing. I appreciate it all. I have 90% of what you added in, so I can manipulate it and see what comes. Yeah, and if you're on the Discord, obviously, Connor, you hit me back up and we can look over this again. I have a Gerrard list that I thought was fairly competent, but obviously it was made quite a while ago, so I would want to look at it. I don't know if it's still alive, but I'll try to find it and we can try to glean anything else additionally off of that. But I think that this setup is fine. I like having the rituals. I like being able to do things quicker. Sadly, you know, in decks like this, it's tough. Like when I play Oswald, and why I like Oswald is that I can find utilities that let me draw on the spot, so I can sort of replenish my hand or replenish with whatever I need. You just get whatever you need, right? Or Gerrard he's not really impacting your draw unless you have various effects that let you draw and you bring them back, and then you can sort of get more draw from your turn. So without inherent draw, you can lag behind, and in these colors, it's difficult to catch back up. Sadly, because they didn't give these colors good, at least white, good draw. Red is getting better now, and Ragavan's a really good addition, so thank you to whomever suggested Ragavan. I think Ragavan's really great for this list. Not only are you making treasures, artifacts that add towards your count, like the Mox Opal, stuff to break with your grinding station, stuff to break with any of your destroy artifact utilities. It's also just a treasure, which is fantastic, but you're also stealing top deck tutors. Ragavant's great for this deck. It's really built for this deck. It's also just another body to sack to the Astronaut's Altar to, kickstart a combo, or Phyrexian Altar to kickstart a combo. It might have been more advisable to go with the Phyrexian Altar in that instance. We might have won on turn 3 if I did, and you can tell me post video if that's true. But we're going to carry on here. Thank you, Connor, for this suggestion. I like looking at lists like this that are very commander centric, but sometimes it can be a real kind of get stuck in analysis paralysis trying to pick apart what is the best approach or best line of play and sort of miss some obvious plays. I don't know if we missed anything obvious here, but obviously more redundancies would be of benefit. So like another Loyal Retainer or Safi in this instance that didn't happen to be a Selesnya. But obviously if you guys know anything that would be, if you know of anything that would be great for this list, you can leave it in the comment after this video, and that would be helpful for Connor and myself for future brews. But I do want to move on to our next deck. So if you're following me, in the description, Oh My Marath, literally my old Marath list, so likely not to need any revisement at all, but we're going to try to fix it up anyways. So David Parsons says, I played your Marath list last night and it feels like it's time for an update. Really? Answer me this, one formerly referred to as Dragon Lord Jippy. Can you refresh your own list at the request of a brewmaster? Well, yes, I can. Yes, I can, and yes, I will. So let's go ahead and pull that up. So I have it on the screen now. This is actually card for card my old Marath list. And if you guys don't know who Marath is, 9 commander, Marath Will of the Wild, elemental beast, 0/0 body. When it enters the battlefield, put a number of +1/+1 counters on it equal to the amount of mana spent to cast it. So in most all cases, it's going to enter as a 3/3, and then a 5/5, and then so on and so forth, because the commander tax. Pay X, remove X +1/+1 counters on Marath, choose 1, X can't be 0, sadly. It would be amazing if it could be. But put X 1/1 counters on target creature, pretty vital for a lot of the combos in the deck. Marath deals X damage to any target, an outlet and a combo card, and also create a XX green elemental creature token. So that one's actually useful with things like your, I don't think I use it in my list. Well, you guys should look at it here. Like the Denizen, Ivy League Denizen. Is that the name? Ivy League Denizen? Ivy something Denizen? Ivy Lane. Close. Whenever another green creature enters battlefield under your control, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. So this is a really good way to combo with your green creature token creation. So if you have something like this in a Generous Patron, you can just begin to draw cards. That's an actual draw engine for the list. Obviously, you don't want to be handing out +1/+1 counters to just anyone, but if you're not taking the hits, then it doesn't really matter if you're giving them out. And then obviously, you're going to want to leverage your destroy creature cards or anything that's going to remove said creature that's going to hurt you on the thing that you've just been giving +1/+1 counters. But the main combos for this deck, I think we should probably look at that first for anyone who's not familiar with Marath. There's a lot going on here, but I'll try to cover what is most important. And obviously, I'll tune in to you guys really quick before we start. Connor Taylor says, the Shaman I thought was terrible, but honestly, he's growing on me so much. I kind of like the Shaman as just mass removal. It's interesting. It's actually a really decent piece of removal. For sure, let me know what your original list had. I will definitely look it up. Anyone else have their Praetors postponed to December? That sucks, Joseph Hayhurst. And feel free to respond to that if you have had it postponed. So, there are some combos here. The first one I want to discuss, take that Linvala out. There's Emiel, the Blessed, and obviously Dockside. Provided that your opponents have enough artifacts and enchantments for you to produce 4 treasures, you're able to exile another creature you control, then return to the battlefield under its owner's control. So if you're making 4 treasures, you're able to make infinite mana with Dockside and Emiel, right? that's a basic one. And then you can just cast Marath, remove +1/+1 counters, damage someone, cast Marath, and you get the idea. But it's got all the non-Marath combos first. You have Dual Caster Mage, and then you have things like Twin Flame and Heat Shimmer. Obviously, this is a combo that just works in tandem with the deck. You also have Twin Flame Striven, or Strived, with Eternal Witness and Dockside Extortionist. Again, Eternal Witness is going to pull the Twin Flame from your graveyard. Dockside Extortionist is going to generate treasures. Provided you are able to produce 5 treasures in this instance, you have an army of infinite Dockside Extortionist and Eternal Witness to kill the board with, right? So you can't do that with Heat Shimmer, but it is a little bit more valuable in the sense that you can use this to hit any creature on the battlefield, so that's actually quite good. We have all the creature tutors, I think, up to date. Sylvan Tutor I'm not super high on, and Steel Shaper's Gift I'm not entirely certain we really want. Skull Clamp just works good in tandem with the creatures you generate. Natural Order is not going to get us a combo card reliably, but it will get us something to draw cards in an Archon of Valor's Reach. I might take out the Orin Frostfang and maybe add a Ragavan here. Now, Infinite Mana is sort of the name of the game here. So we have Priest of Titania, and we also have the Bloom Tender. So if you have these, and let me see what the untapped utilities are. Do we have like a... No, we don't have Seeker Skybreak. Stoneforge Mystic for 2 pieces of equipment is probably not the best option, but that's what I have. So I'm probably going to remove that. But you can make Infinite Mana with Priest of Titania, and you can also make Infinite Mana with Bloom Tender, which is obviously more useful. But I don't think I have any of the utilities in this list to do such a thing. I think I'm just utilizing them, for... It's been a while since I've looked at this list. I'm utilizing them for just ramp, and obviously getting to do big fun things. Obviously a finale and all this other stuff that requires X in the cost, like a Court of Calling to just cheat big stuff out, or stuff out in general. But we can start removing some things. The last combo I want to discuss really quickly is obviously with Marath, the token allocation, and then this card called Cryptic Trilobite. So Cryptic Trilobite is in a unique class. I know this is semi-transparent, but bear with me. It's XX. So you're generally going to put the Trilobite out as a 1/1. It enters with X +1/+1 counters. Remove a 1/1 counter from Cryptic Trilobite and add 2 generic. Spend this only to activate abilities. Well, guess what? Marath has activated abilities. So with Cryptic Trilobite and any token doubler, but we're just going to look at Conclave Mentor because it's right here. So for Selesnya, 2/2 body. What's nice about this is you can Green Sun Zenith this. There's a bunch of stuff you can do to get this. We might add Ivy Lane Denizen out because we've got a lot of ramp here, so we might as well. But Conclave Mentor, if 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on that creature instead. So, with even Faber or Elder, what am I thinking here? And we have Heliod Ballista too. There's just so many combos galore in this deck. Okay, so if you're tracking this, Marath, Will of the Wild. So if I say X = 1, so I remove a counter from Cryptic Trilobite, and I didn't read the last ability, but you're able to pay 1, tap it to put a +1/+1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. So if it isn't already a 2/2, you can make it a 2/2 with that effect, or you can just use Marath to remove a counter, put it on Cryptic Trilobite, and then remove a counter from Cryptic Trilobite. Well, you just heard me say place a +1/+1 counter on Cryptic Trilobite. In that instance, Conclave Mentor puts 2 +1/+1 counters on Cryptic Trilobite. So Cryptic is a 3/3 now, and then it becomes a 2/2 to give us 2 more generic to play with, right? So we've got 2 generic to play with. I remove a +1/+1 counter to add a counter to Marath, Will of the Wild. Well, Marath, Will of the Wild will go back up to being a 3/3 if it was just a 3/3 initially, and we can use the last bit of generic for activated abilities to remove another +1/+1 counter to put on Cryptic Trilobite. A lot of words I'm spewing at you. Cryptic is going to become a 4/4. We're going up here, right? Remove a +1/+1 counter, generate 2 more generic, activate Marath, Will of the Wild, hit the Trilobite, hit Marath. And you continuously do this. What you'll see is that you have a really big Cryptic Trilobite and a lot of activations on that Trilobite. So we're able to activate the Trilobite and make Walking Ballista infinitely large. We can use that to make Marath infinitely large, and then just use that mana to kill the board, right? There's a lot of stuff you can do, but there's a lot of combos in this deck. So I think the first thing we want to do is probably narrow down the amount of combos. Like there's a lot here. I feel like this is maybe a tad unnecessary, and probably because these bodies are useful with something like an Oran Frostfang, maybe we retain that. Archon of Valorous Reach, generally speaking, is what you would natural order. And that way you could set it up so that no one can fool with you on your turn by just saying instance on Archon of Valorous Reach. And if it goes to Beat Street, you've got a fairly big board here. I wouldn't say it's the biggest board, but we're not relying on any instant speed spells to get the job done. There are a handful of tutors here, but I think that what we're going to try to do is make this as quick a Marath as possible. This is going to be a... Well, we can see we need a Lotus here. And we're not even utilizing like a Collector Oof, are we? Or a Null Rod. We probably use a few more Artifact Ramp. But what we're going to do is make this a proactive Marath list, right? So as proactive as possible. Let me tune in with you guys to see what's up. The Denizens are awesome. I agree. We can probably afford to add them here. So let's go ahead and just add the Denizens first. It probably helps if I say Ivy Lane first. So Ivy Lane Denizen, sure. And what did I say we don't have? We don't have a lot of fast mana here. And it would not hurt to add some fast mana. Again, the issue with this list is the fact that I was trying to not rely on artifacts, because at the time, I think when I was brewing this list, like Null Rod was all the rage. This was when Null Rod was like a $20 card, just to give you guys an idea like how long ago this was. Last time I revised it was well over a year ago. But we probably want to add just a little bit of fast mana. So like the Jeweled, and maybe Jeweled... Here's the thing, like Jeweled Lotus seems kind of an odd include, but the fact that we are leveraging Marath such that removing +1/+1 counters will ultimately kill Marath, it could make sense to incorporate it, because with that we're able to go ahead and use the additional mana. Let's just say it was 3 mana to cast Marath. We use the additional 2 of red, let's just say it was red, to help fill the generic cost. So maybe it makes sense. I think that we do want to incorporate Lotus Petal. Let's just put all the fast mana in here. I just want to see if we have Elvish Spirit Guide, Simian Spirit Guide, that kind of stuff. No. Okay. We're going to make the fastest Marath you've ever seen. So let's do Lotus Petal. Mox Diamonds. Chrome Mox. I wouldn't say Mox Opal is really great here. I think Mana Vault could be useful though. Oh, we still don't have that many artifacts, and I don't want to ramp up the artifacts that much. But we do want to do Elvish Spirit Guide. Simian Spirit Guide. If we didn't have Jeweled Lotus in this, it's probably likely we don't have Jessica's Will or anything like that, right? So Jessica's Will is going to be up here. Nope, no Jessica's Will. We don't need that much red mana. This list isn't that red heavy. So a Rite of Flame wouldn't hurt. To be honest with you, I think it might be best that we just start removing a lot of stuff first and then try to incorporate new additions. That way I have a grip of what is actually in this list. I think we need to remove 9 cards as it stands. Conqueror's Flail is fine. It actually works really well with Cryptic Trilobite. If the game's going slow, you can sort of use Cryptic to just put the flail on, right? It could be on anything. It could be on the Cryptic Trilobite. That's actually not a bad idea. That way Cryptic stays, even if it were to reach 0 at any moment. So that's actually quite useful. Sensei's Dividing Top is interesting. I don't know why I'm using this over something like a Miri's Guile. Right? I would want the consistency of Miri's Guile over this. Yes, the top deck draw is useful, though, with things like your Sylvan Tutor, but I don't know. I don't think we need this Steel Shaper's Gift. I don't think we need that. Honestly, I don't think we need the Stoneforge Mystic. If it's just these 2 things, like, yes, the Skull Clamp is really great. Maybe just the Steel Shaper's Gift for the Skull Clamp, like, at all. But otherwise, I feel fine without it. We have the Mox Diamond, we have the Lotus Petal, we have the Mana Crypt. Am I missing any fast mana in the 0 CMC slot that you think is useful? I don't think Mox Amber makes sense. I don't think that our Mox Opal makes sense with this few artifacts. Soul Ring's fine. We've got a lot of stuff that can use generic and its cost, right? So Soul Ring is obviously fine. Mana Vault's still fine. All of these are fine. So we can leave these. Okay. This is not a fast package. I still think that we want... I still think that we could use the natural order to get Oran Frostfang. There will be a stage in the game where just drawing is going to be integral, and we've got a lot of bodies to leverage here, right? And these bodies are useful for the Eldritch Evolution, obviously. Eldritch Evolution, any of these to get into Heliod, to get into any of our combo creatures or recovery creatures, a lot of shit in here that's very useful at 3CMC. Again, I want to make this a faster package, so I'm probably not going to rely on any stacks. And Reclamation Sage can come out. I mean, all of these seem fine. Obviously, this is quite good. The +1/+1 counter manipulation here. Because you can pay 1 to create a creature of a 1/1 and then put another counter on Marath. So you never really lose those counters. But also it works extremely well with these token doublers, right? And if you have multiples of these token doublers, you can do a lot of work, right? So that's not so bad. Jeweled Amulet is kind of a one-cast rock, says Matt. Is this true? This is true. Gerrard with Broken Egg Storm Commander, and I love him. One of my favorite decks to play. That's awesome. Okay, so I think that these are probably fine. I'll take Jiraga Tree Speaker out because I know in the back of my mind I'm going to want to add Ragavan. And I think that it's probably going to take the slot of Jiraga here. We don't need... Green is clearly the dominant color here, just from what I'm looking at. But I don't think we need Jiraga Tree Speaker in this instance. I think we could honestly take out the Fabro Elder as well. That feels slower. And we're not really like on a Seedborn Muse. We're not really trying to pump mana into doing stuff on our turn necessarily. Not in the same way you would with like a Thrasios list. So it's not as integral to me. I'm not too concerned about it. Let me see here. I just got a comment from Phil, or rather a message from Phil. Just want to see what he's saying. Haven't heard from him in a minute. Deafening Silence can come out, although I do like it. Unbound Flourishing, Branching Evolution, these are all things that work functionally the same as Conclave Mentor. Sterling Grove is quite good. It's not absolutely essential, but it is protecting 3 of like very valuable pieces, to include a Survival of the Fittest. And also, let me see here. Obviously Heliod. Heliod's indestructible anyways, but Sterling Grove is more there for the tutor, an additional tutor. And I think it still makes sense. We did just get one more tutor by way of Moon Blessed Cleric, right? And maybe we want Moon Blessed Cleric because this can aid us in getting the token doubling utility, right? Is Conclave Mentor an enchantment? Oh, that would be amazing. But it'll help us get Unbound Flourishing or Branching Evolution. And most instances, I would say Unbound Flourishing is the better of the two. So you probably grab that. All right, so we got Crop Rotation. This seems good. Let me just double check these creatures again. Sorry, we don't want Draneth. We don't want Grand Abolisher. When did I use Grand Abolisher? Shame on me. Priest of Titania, I feel like is going to fall out of favor, and we can probably just stick with the Bloom Tender, and that's fine. Wow, I still want to cut shit. Imperial Recruiter, Recruiter of the Guard, right? Do we need Recruiter of the Guard? We can honestly use Recruiter of the Guard. We can honestly use Recruiter of the Guard. I don't know why we're not. Because, I mean, we're grabbing Dualcaster Mage combo card, Dockside combo card. Is it because of Emio? No, 4/4. But it's power 2 or less, right, with Imperial. That does grab more stuff, right? Oran Frostfang, all this stuff, but... You know what? I'm going to take this out too. I'm not too high on this compilation. Not really high on this either here. Okay. You're seeing me pry this deck apart. Let me know if you think any of my removals are absurd. But I kind of want to add more tutors. This is the most recent one I can think of, Moonblessed Cleric for enchantments. And that seems fairly useful. If there's another enchantment tutor, let me know. I don't remember all of them in recent date. But this seems fine. This seems fine right now. I would maybe add Moonblessed Cleric and not Recruiter of the Guard. Imperial Recruiter does more for the deck than that does. Yeah, okay, so. Those are all fine. Shared Summons. When we were generating as much mana as we were, maybe. Court of Calling is really good when you have creature tokens off of Marath, so bear in mind Court of Calling. I think, was there ever a Tooth and Nail in this list? I wonder, because Tooth and Nail sets up a lot of 2-card combos, like Dockside, MEL, obviously. Heliod, Ballista, not so much unless you have some form of Anthem on the battlefield, right? But you can also do a Conclave Mentor / Cryptic Trilobite, right? If Marath is already on the battlefield. So maybe a Tooth and Nail wouldn't be horrible. It's not like we're using rituals, though. And maybe we should add some rituals to up the speed of this deck, right? I still like Fork, Reverberate, Pyro, Red Elemental. Those all make sense. Crop Rotation's fine. It's going to help us get our guys Cradle out. I think the only utility land that is a recent addition that we might want to include is potentially Urza's Saga. And how valuable are our artifacts in this list? Not highly. I wouldn't say that any of these are going to be really game-breaking or astounding for the deck, but I guess to just make sure we can combo off on our turn, or the necessary ramp to do the Tooth and Nail, because Tooth and Nail is actually quite good here. So maybe there's a case. This is for like the Linvalas of the world, because fuck that card. But I don't know if we need Shredded Sails. You need to think about the things that stop you, and Shredded Sails is good for taking down a ton of different flyers in cEDH meta, but I'll keep it. All of these seem okay. I really like Dromoka's Command here, but it is a little bit of the odd man out, although a lot of these modal choices are good for this deck, right? Obviously, fighting a creature, putting a +1/+1 counter, these are all good things. Prevent damage target instant sorcery would deal to you this turn. That is less useful. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It's not to you. It's to anything. That's actually quite good. I'm hard-pressed to remove any more of these instant speed spells. And I'm fairly certain we don't need to. So, yeah, we're down to 9 possible includes. Ren and 6 seems pretty freaking good. I like Ren and 6 a lot. So we'll leave Ren and 6. And I think Gamble, Green Sun, Steel Shaper, Sylvan Tutor. Steel Shaper is encouraging you to go for the Skull Clamp, but it's also very good for the Conqueror's Flail. Fine. Twin Flame, Heat Shimmer, still fine. I think that if we were to remove one combo from the deck, there's good overlap with Walking Ballista and making infinite mana in this deck. Like, that's as a thing, right? Activated mana is a thing. But Marath and Cryptic don't work without one another. Heliod and Walking Ballista is a one-off, but Walking works with Marath. I almost feel like Walking Ballista, Heliod can be cut. Because I would rather Dualcaster Mage. I would rather we Dualcaster Mage and copy effects, just on the off chance we need him. I know this seems maybe a little crazy. I like cutting that so that we can sort of focus on the Marath line of play, because we've got a lot going for it. I'm not even sure we need this much redundancy. Maybe like having Hardened Scales, Branching Evolution, Unbound Flourishing, and Conclave Mentor is a bit much, because we have so many creature tutors just to get this. I feel like this was always the one I focused, because these were not as frequently seen. If one or more +1/+1 counters would be put in creature, put twice as many +1/+1 counters instead. Whatever permanent spell mana cost contains X, double the value of X. Whenever you cast a spell, instant sorcery spell, activated ability, if that mana cost or ability activation contains X, copy that spell or ability. You choose new targets for the copy. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell or activate an ability, if that spell's mana cost or that ability activation contains X, copy that spell or ability. Damn, that's really good, isn't it? I forgot how good Unbound Flourishing is. I'll take this out. I think that we can sort of focus with Sterling Grove between Hardened Scales and Unbound Flourishing. Depending on how much mana we have, we'll probably shoot for this over that, but this is very good, obviously. You can duplicate the effect of Marath. Okay, so good. Like these things. Ivy Lane Denizen. I think that Ivy Lane Denizen and Generous Patron are going to be a nice combo. They're going to run nicely in tandem with one another. And Sorcery Speed Cells. Okay, so I would rather keep Dualcaster Mage, Twin, Heat. Because Twin and Heat really just double down on any of our value cards, right, for the turn. Right now, we've sort of narrowed what our value cards are, but I still like having that combo in the deck. I think I'll take out Heat Shimmer and just keep Twin Flame in. And if I have Twin Flame in hand, I'll go for Dualcaster Mage, right? with our creature tutors. If there are any other creature tutors that came out in recent date, let me know, and I'll try to remember them. But I think we have the new structure for the deck. We got 13 cards to add and no rituals, and I just added Simian and Elvish Spirit Guide. Okay. The Ozolith. Okay. I don't know if that, I don't think that's how you spell it. Okay. Ozolith. Okay. I don't think we need that necessarily. It's very slow. It's a slow starter. But I think that we'll add a handful of rituals to this deck to hopefully propel our game forward. And really not that many. I think it's just going to be like a Rite of Flame. And any of my Marath masters out there, you can help me on this too. But I do think that I want to add Moon Blessed Cleric. Down there. I don't know. Recruiter of the Guard. Feels like a weak include, doesn't it? We don't have Ricochet Trap in here, but we could probably use it. Right? Yeah. Ricochet Trap. Any other good utilities you can think of in these colors in Naya? We'll save this out for now. We've just added Rite of Flame. I don't know if Jessica's Will is super viable here, but Jessica's Will. Let me see where that Rite of Flame went. If I did add it, if I did in fact add it. Flawless Maneuver, Jessica's Will. So yeah, we just added Jessica's Will. I'm thinking that Flawless Maneuver is fine. Is fine. I think that's because it offers Indestructible. I don't know how many times Indestructible is really vital, sadly. I feel like more oftentimes than not, I'm hit with some form of exile or bounce. Not necessarily damage or strict destroy. So far as my creatures are concerned. Right, so the fact that this only aids creatures is kind of what is... If this just said permanence, it would be a far better card, obviously. But it's not quite there. Personally speaking, I think it's kind of lacking in its utility because of its narrowness. Pyre of Heroes is kind of cool. So there are some other creature tutors that came out. We would need to take a look at... let's add Ragavan, right? Nimble Pilferer. Let's go ahead and add Esper Sentinel. These are some decent utilities that have come up in recent date that are going to be useful here. I want to add... I don't think we need like a Moon Silver Key. Do we? I mean, it's like, it's deck thinning, right? It's deck thinning to a certain extent. It also just gives us really solid ramp turn after turn. That's not horrible. I think we had all of the creature tutors that are decent up to recent date. And did I add Recruiter of the Guard? I certainly did. So Pyre of Heroes is one that's questionable. I need to see what's in the deck for Pyre of Heroes. But also, mind you, we could use Birthing Pod. I don't know why I'm not. I could use Birthing Pod. We'll see. Let's see if Birthing Pod makes sense for the deck. In some instances, you might be able to do like... let me see here. Because Birthing Pod, this isn't a pod deck, and I don't want to add a pod play line to the deck. But you can search your library for a creature that can convert mana 1 equal to 1 plus the sacrifice creature's converted mana cost, right? So you can get your Dockside out easily this way, or you can get your MEL, you can get your combo creature out easily this way, and you generate creatures, so you can go into your 1-drops here, and maybe that seems insignificant, but it is a good way to plow through the list. And I think the 1-drop we're probably going to aim for is the Esper Sentinel. That seems fine. I just want to make sure I have every tutor in here that I wanted, to include Eldritch. Okay. Ecological Appreciation. Perhaps it's slow, but there's Instrument of the Bards. It is a tad slow. It is a tad slow. We can look at it, though. And Ecological Appreciation. With the tongue out emoji. So you know it's great. Search your library and graveyard for up to 4 creature cards with different names that each have mana value X or less and reveal them. Shuffle. An opponent chooses 2 of those cards. If this was an instant speed, maybe it would be a more of a consideration. Is it Golgari, the hold up. What's that new one? Rushed Rebirth? Is Rushed Rebirth Golgari? Damn. Okay. It is. I was hoping it was just green. Rushed Rebirth would be great, but obviously not an include here. Okay, so Pyre of Heroes, it requires that they be of the same type. So this is going to take me just a little moment to see if any of our creatures are of the same relevant typing. And we can organize this by mana cost as well, I guess. That will help. So Monkey Pirate into Goblin Pirate. Well, that's pretty useful. We also have this Elf Druid with all of our elves. As far as humans are concerned, Esper Sentinel into... Oh, it's a Centaur Cleric. Damn it. Wait, is this boy a cleric? Wait a minute. I think that Avacyn's Pilgrim's a cleric? Monk. Damn it. Bird. Damn it. Druid. Damn it. Soldier. Damn it. Oh, damn. Centaur Cleric. Okay. Well, we're not going to hit Conclave Mentor, sadly. But we could do Pyre of Heroes into Goblin... Or Dockside Extortionist, right? That's a thing. That is a thing. Pyre of Heroes, though... Pyre of Heroes into anything else of value? We're not really going from 2 to 3 that well. I gotta tell you that. Our 2 to 3 is sad. Conclave Mentor into Moonblessed Cleric, but that's sort of counterproductive. No, don't want to do that. Okay. Draw utilities might be something that we want to look into. I might include the Miri's Guile and reintroduce the Sensei's Dividing Top just to help us go through the deck. I don't think that's a bad idea. And Moonsilver Key is going to help us get any of our artifact utilities that are going to help us power through this list. In all honesty, I don't know if Moonsilver Key is a great addition to this deck, but again, it is going to help us thin through here, and obviously we've got a lot of mana on our turn to use anyhow. I think that Pyre of Heroes is sort of less than in this list. I think Birthing Pod is fine, though. And if we're using Birthing Pod, Moonsilver Key is going to help us go through the deck with that, so that's not so bad. I wish this was an artifact. Wish that was an artifact. Clearly not, but that's okay. Okay, so save this up. Most of your creatures are human elf. Yeah, they are. We'll add a Miri's Guile, and then if there's any other draw utility that came out in recent date, let me know. But those are really the only ones I can think of. Other than Esper Sentinel, what are some great white includes? Really no new great white includes. Red includes are rather limited as well. We do have Underworld Breach, but I don't know if Underworld Breach makes absolute sense for this deck. Does Underworld Breach make sense for this deck? Not really. It's not really relying on breach lines, so it's not something I want to include just for the sake of including it. And then green includes, really, green is kind of getting shafted as a recent date. It's just okay. The color's doing just okay, sadly. But, I kind of want to add Domri. Call me crazy, but I've always loved this card. I wish it was +1/+1, but this is actually quite good for fighting and removing threats, and obviously making it so your creatures can't be countered. Because a lot of our combo cards are creatures, it's actually useful that the uncounterable effect is on Domri, Anarch of Bolas. And he's not that difficult to get out, and he's ramp. So I think that is not a horrible include. Okay, Adversary, but I don't know how many green permanents you're running against. That is dependent on your meta, but I do think Okay Adversary is fine. Man, part of me feels like Kenra's transformation is okay, like removal. Right? Because it removes this, well, it keeps the threat permanently removed and also replaces itself. I think we'll stop there. Okay. Let's try it out. Oh, I should look at how competitive it is first. Oh, shit. 95%. Okay. I always like just to know what Tapped Out thinks about my decks. This is okay. Not a great start, but it's okay. I think that we want to have not this. Definitely some form of ramp, at least. Heroic Intervention art. Yes, please. Okay, so Heroic Intervention might be better suited as like a blacksmith skill, right? Something that will cost less, defend single permanent, because I don't think in many instances we're going to be too concerned about protecting everything. Not usually, so probably get rid of that. Okay, so we're going to draw per turn. Command Tower, Chromatic Sphere. We're going to get rid of the Pilgrim. And we'll drop... Oh, man, I really thought that was Sylvan Library for a second. Damn. That sucks. We don't necessarily need Survival of the Fittest, but if you see what I'm setting up here, if we keep the Birds of Paradise, we can drop the Birds of Paradise to get a Dockside Extortionist. The only unfortunate thing is we couldn't do that and play Dockside Extortionist in the same turn because we're lacking another land in this hand. I'm going to switch Heroic Intervention out for maybe a single form protection and or just no protection. We can probably do with one additional one outside of Veil of Summer, which is in the list, right? So like Blacksmith Skill. White is not a focused color in this deck though, so having white protection is kind of difficult to work with, but we'll see. All right, let's see if we top deck a line. Yes. Yes. All right, let's make it official. Okay, so what did I exile? I'm sorry. I exiled the Pilgrim, right? Okay, cool. Mountain, shuffle. Let's pretend that at this point, just because I want to show you how the deck works, we're making 7 mana. Math. We're making 7 mana. Okay, so we'll do Blam, Dockside Extortionist. Turn 2, 7 mana. It's not unheard of, but I want to show you how this functions. So we'll ditch that. We'll do Dockside. 7 mana, like I said. We cast MEL, right, for 4. Because 7 mana. And we've got 3 treasures left. I'm sorry. And then we'll use MEL's ability to bounce Dockside Extortionist. And blam! Infinite treasure tokens. And then with that, you just cast Marath, remove counters, kill things. Cast Marath, remove counters, kill things. Cool. Let's go ahead and just make some switches really quick. I just want to really get to this stage. I think Heroic Intervention's fine, but we're not in a list that cares about going wide with its protection. I do, again, think that it's probably better that we just focus on a handful of utilities that are useful. So let's just say Blacksmith Skill for now. I'm not certain that's the one I would want to keep, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I'm with you, Matt. I think that I was trying to make a more proactive variant of this list, so it is foregoing a lot of things. I think that Ruben Force of Vigor would be fine. I could see us running Force of Vigor here because of how green-centric this list is. You're going to have something to discard to Force of Vigor and hopefully leverage it for some value. Obviously, the things that are stopping this list are Cursed Totem effects, Null Rod if you go by way of Walking Ballista, if you still incorporate that, but that's not an issue anymore. Cursed Totem effects, which are the least frequently seen of the stacks variants of stopping things from doing things. It's usually Null Rod. Carry on. So what I'm saying is I don't know if it's absolutely necessary, but you could. Okay, so do I keep this? Yes. This kind of sucks having to use Lotus Petal in this way, but we'll do Lotus Petal for Esper Sentinel. And then we can tap this to do the Mana Vault. We have a way to Veil of Summer if someone tries to remove Esper Sentinel. I don't know, that would never happen. But a turn 1 Esper Sentinel is usually good. And in this scenario, I'll say that if we were on the play, we would draw 3 cards right now. How about that? How about them apples? Does that feel good? 1, 2, 3? It does feel good. Okay, so moving on, we'll do Sacred Foundry. So we've got red, white, green, but not by way of Yavimaya Hollow. Let's just attack with the Esper Sentinel first. Eldritch Evolution can go into anything. 3 and under. So I think in this instance, we've got a lot of combos that we can lay up, right? So this can get Cryptic Trilobite should we like, and we can lay down Cryptic Trilobite. I don't think that's absolutely necessary a route. I do think the best setup here would be to go, because we have Sterling Grove, we got a lot of tutors, right? So we've got Creature Tutor here, and we've got the Dual Caster Mage, but we can't go into the Dual Caster Mage combo reliably with Eldritch Evolution, sadly. I do want to look at our 3 CMC slot again, just to see what Eldritch is going to get us, if we decide to knock out the... Again, we can also just go for a Dockside Extortionist. It doesn't have to be 3 CMC, right? But this is not going to get us MEL. So, all right, anyways. We are very much more in line with seeing Conclave Mentor, Cryptic Trilobite, and or with the Sterling Grove, our line of play with Hardened Scales and or Unbound Flourishing. But let me just see what creatures we have. Dual Caster Mage, Imperial Recruiter is in our hand. Simian Spirit Guide, not want that. Moonblessed Cleric, another way to put the thing on top. Ranger Captain of Eos would not be bad here. Only because it's double white and we're not really white-centric, but also the simple fact that it gives us Cryptic Trilobite. So I don't mind doing that, to be perfectly honest. So if we get the Cryptic Trilobite, we can use Eldritch Evolution, right, to do that with this. Oh no, I'm sorry. God, we don't have double green. All right, well, these are just dead cards. Put the dead cards over there. Let's do the easy setup then. We can do Imperial Recruiter for Dockside, right? But we can't do Dockside right now. So, man, we might just want to do that anyways, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And then just go into Eldritch Evolution for MEL, but fine. Fine. Okay, we'll do that. Do we do it this way? Do we got to do it this way? We don't have to use Mana Vault here. It is a waste of 1 generic, but I think that's fine. We'll do that in this. Cool. We'll go ahead and grab Dockside Extortionist. This will hopefully alleviate all of our problems. Generic up in the air, that's fine. We still have a means of protection with Veil of Summer. Reverberate is offline, but it would be great for stealing tutors or doubling down on opposing counters to protect our shit. We don't have any enchantments that are of absolute value right now. I think the core game plan is going to be Eldritch Dockside, or Eldritch rather, Imperial to get MEL. And let's just pretend off turn that we need to do this for some reason. We'll draw a card, and then obviously we'll also draw 2 additional cards. Let's say one person paid, no one else did, and we'll move on with life. We will go ahead and do the... Oh my god, more generic mana. Such rough times. But that's fine. I think that's fine. We'll do this. Dockside Extortionist. And Dockside on turn 3, well, that's got to be like 9 mana, right? Let's just say that this is going to generate 6. I think that's more practical. But we'll go ahead and do that. And do custom token. Nope, not custom token. Treasure. Boop. 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 All right, so we'll lose 2. And we'll tap here. We will want to keep the Regenerate up. But we'll lose 2, and then we'll go ahead and cast the... we've got 1 generic floating. We'll cast the Eldritch Evolution here. I'll tune in with you guys. The new Cathar card, too. Masked Vandal can get rid of some stacks. Masked Vandal. Let me see here. Yes, and again, if these seem like valuable includes, I certainly think you should incorporate them to your list, depending on your meta, right? Enters the battlefield, may exile a creature card from your graveyard. If you do, exile target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. That's kind of cool. I like the Cathar Commando as well. I like that suggestion as well. But we're going to go ahead and grab MEL with this. Right. Okay, so put to the battlefield. This is going to get exiled, and then put the card in the battlefield, shuffle your library. Okay. Cool. Boom. Boom. So we're all square to win the game here. Let's just see how much we can actually do to protect ourselves in this instance. So we just generated 6 mana. We've got 1 generic, 2 generic floating. We can actually do, if we need to, double red, if I'm not mistaken, to copy a counter to stop a counter from the Eldritch, right? And still have mana requisite to do MEL as it enters the battlefield. So let's just pretend we had to do that. Just to, you know, take in other things into consideration. These Llanowar Elves, the Elvish Mystic, all this stuff, it seems bad, right? It sucks to pull these into your hand late game, but because of Sterling Grove, we know we can get survival of the fittest. So even if we failed here, we're in a very good place to go ahead, and I mean fail to resolve Eldritch Evolution. It's very obvious where this line is going in Naya, right, for infinite mana, particularly when you have an outlet in the command zone with Marath. But it's okay because we can do Sterling Grove into our survival of the fittest, right? Although I will state that you will want to play at least one of these 2 creatures to give yourself the green requisite to do anything with your life. Dryad Arbor is probably a decent land drop as well. You probably just keep one of these to get MEL, and that's fine. Also, bear in mind that we have the Eternal Witness to get the job done too. So we've got a really good setup here. But this was a decent winning hand with backup. 2 forms of backup technically. Although we were low on colored mana pips, Dockside really helps. And obviously, we're assuming 6 mana here, but on turn 3, it's not impractical to see 6 mana from Dockside. So in this instance, we'll go ahead and use the generic. Let's just, we can keep that active, but not if we had to do the Reverberate. But we'll do this, keep 1 treasure available. We don't have anything else going for us, but we will bounce this, make 6 more mana, and of course, go infinite in this instance, making Marath a deadly weapon. So let me turn in with you guys, see where we're at, and then obviously I think that this is maybe the route to go. I don't know. This seems like a decent Marath, and hopefully this answers your question, David. If we can revise Marath to be cleaner, operate quicker, and obviously David, I don't know if you're in the live stream chat, but I'll send you a message over on Patreon so that you can watch this. But this is how I would take the list now. So let me tune in with you guys. Most creatures are here. Yeah. All right, yeah. We sort of covered all our bases here. But yeah, this is essentially how I'd take Marath now. I think that is the perfect Marath. How many of you play Marath? I'm curious. And what are you including that I'm excluding? Obviously, I think pending your meta, you're going to want to incorporate different pieces of removal and obviously different pieces of protection, pending what you typically see. But I do think that these inclusions with Ragavan, obviously Esper Sentinel, all of these things are very clean includes. They're very easy to incorporate. I think things that are questionable might still be like the Birthing Pod, the Moonsilver Key, the Miri's Guile. These are just some value pieces I want to try in these slots, as we've cut a lot from the deck. But this is not... There's not a hint of stacks here. This is very proactive. This is very forward-thinking list. You shouldn't be contemplating how you can stop opposing decks or running anything to that extent. Your concern is not to be a reactive list, but to be the threat constantly. With how I've revised this. This is sort of how I'd take Marath now. Marath does have that potential, as we've just seen. Obviously, you can go for either Dual Caster, Twin Flame, or Walking Ballista and Heliod. I would say that Walking Ballista and Heliod, when I was doing the Zerta build, made more sense because that was an infinite mana build that didn't necessarily require Marath, right? You can also just do Auriok Salvage LED. You can obviously incorporate Underworld Breach with Grinding Station for a line of play to get you to your LED colored mana to do anything really, but really just Grinding Station into your infinite mana line of play. So it could be the Auriok, it could be the MEL in that instance. Those being 4 CMC isn't bad because we've got a lot of 2-drops here as well that can graduate to that class. I say a lot. There's 2. But Marath himself, can go into a 4-drop and one of our combo creatures with that. But that's how I do it. I think this is a good take on Marath. Would I say that this is the best take on Marath? No, and I'd be curious to see other people's lists. And obviously, if you have a list for either of these decks, feel free to leave them in the comment section after this video. I like seeing other people's builds, and I think it's good that we share this information to other people interested in brewing these lists because it's super beneficial for folks trying to improve upon their very own decks, and that's the whole goal of the channel. But as I do with every video here on the 99, I'd like to thank our Patreon members for helping to make all of this possible. You guys are the best, We do weekly live streams. These in particular, with Tuesday rather, are Brew Masters and Cold Brew segments. These are a blast. It's a good opportunity for me to revise old lists in this instance, and of course work on a list that well, technically 2 old lists, although one was exactly my list, and then the other happened to be a list of one of our brewmasters. But guys, if you want to suggest lists in the future, you can do so by becoming a brewmaster over on the Patreon as well, or you can become a member of the 99 here on YouTube and suggest cold brew decks. And of course, that is why we are doing Gissa very, very soon, Friday, and it should be at 4 p.m. as well. But I'm super stoked to do a Gissa build. I love the card a lot. I like doing mono black, as I've mentioned off the beginning of this video, but it's not something I do very often or typically at all, because I find it very difficult to navigate that color. But Gissa, she just wants to kill things, so I'm pretty stoked for that. But guys, thank you for tuning in as you do every week. I appreciate you guys for watching these live streams and of course sharing, liking, all that good stuff. Again, my name is Patrick Marlatt, and happy brewing, babies.